AI agents generate tons of code. I know I've been doing this last year, and I basically just check it all in and say, YOLO. What's happened to me, though, is I've come to this realization where I've gotten a little too fatigued to check a lot of the code. And that's something that I'm trying to change for 2026. So as we're kind of rounding out the end of the year, I figured today would be a good day to actually start to improve my whole situation. And hopefully you're in the same boat as well. I'm going to be talking to a Git master who's helping many of these tech companies, not only across Silicon Valley, but all over the world, with many companies at scale. And his name is Tomas. He's the co-founder of Graphite. And he worked at Meta, where thousands of developers ship code simultaneously to literally on the same code base. It's kind of insane if you kind of hear about his story and so forth. So that's why I'm super excited to have him on. And they solve this exact problem that we're talking about. And there's this thing or this concept that's been out there called stacked diffs. And it's actually starting to take a little bit reign. You're going to start hearing about it more. And I thought this is a great opportunity for having the team on. And so for the first hour, Tomas is going to teach us like what stacked diffs are, like why Meta even kind of used it this way, and like how this fixes some of the AI code dump problem that we have. And then for the second half of the hour, I'm going to actually try to work through implementing it live. And we're just going to be hanging out live, answering your questions as well. This is a live stream. So if you're watching live right now, you can ask us any questions, drop any comments, and we're going to be happy to feature you as well. And just want to give you a heads up. I'm extremely proud and super excited that Graphite is actually a partner / sponsor for this live stream. And you know me, in my typical fashion, we have to hook you guys up so you can start playing with this, because you can get now 2 months for free on the team plan. So typically if you sign up, there's no credit card required. You just sign right in. And all you have to do is just use the code STACKWITHRAY. And I actually have that available in the QR code. So if you want to check the link in the description, you can go ahead and do that. I have a little code right there, the QR code down below. You can scan that QR code. It's going to take you right to that link. So rfer.me/graphite is kind of the way to get that in there. If you're on YouTube and watching the live stream, you just go ahead and click that, and that's going to be your best way in. So yeah, without further ado, Tomas, thank you so much for joining the stream. I'm really happy to have you on. There's so many people you guys have helped from like all over the world and increased, their productivity. And I kind of want to get started with you as far as like, for someone who's not heard of stacked diffs, what is this type of thing? And tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. First of all, Ray, thank you for having me. Two, thank you for everyone watching. I've never actually done a live stream before. I was telling Ray like 30 seconds ago, like this is kind of exciting for me. Stacking. So stacking is, well, Ray, what do you want to start with? You want to start with sort of how we got started into it, how Facebook used it, or what stacking is just at all?
Yeah, maybe just a quick high level on like what stacking is and like why should someone even start thinking about this? Because I feel like people on Twitter have just started talking about this, and you know what happens on Twitter, like then it's going to start to boil onto the rest of the industry. So I feel like we have some like insider knowledge of people who've been using it for a while, but then even more like with your experience, right? Kind of like, what you saw as far as value. And then there's an interesting story here that I want to pull apart as well from you joining Graphite and being a co-founder and then driving this type of thing into the product. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. So in one sentence, what stacking is it's a Git workflow that lets you stay unblocked while other people review your code. And so the way you can think about it is normally today, you go ahead, you write a feature. Let's say that I'm working on sign in, right? And I go ahead, I write sign in, I put up a pull request because one of my teammates needs to review my code. And then I kind of get stuck, right? I need to go write the next feature. I need to go write forgot password, but I can't write forgot password without that sign-in code. But the sign-in code isn't yet merged into main, right? And so now I'm kind of in this position where, well, I need to go bother one of my teammates and I need to go say, hey, like, I really appreciate like that you're in the middle of something else, but like, can you interrupt that so that you can review my thing so I can land it so I can keep working? And that sucks. No one enjoys doing that. Right? Your teammates bothered, your team's kind of stuck. The idea of stacking is, well, rather than just blocking there, what if you're to make another pull request on top of it, right? So you just make forgot password, assuming that sign-in is going to go ahead and get merged in. And then maybe you can even do another pull request on top of that. After forgot password, you have to go ahead and do the reset password flow, right? Same code, similar part of the code base, but you can break it up. And in doing that, you create these long chains of dependent PRs, what we call stacks. The reason why that's better is because rather than having one massive PR, which is maybe like 5,000-6,000 lines, a joke I made the other day actually to someone is, I don't know if you've ever seen the meme, which is like 10 lines, 10 comments, 500 lines looks good to me. Instead of that, you can actually have like meaningful, thoughtful review and way easier to parse chunks. I don't know if any of you have ever gotten like 5,000, 6,000 lines, maybe from a coworker, or these days, maybe from an AI agent that you're working on, right? And you're like, well, like Claude Code just wrote these 6,000 lines. I guess I'm going to merge it because I have no way to read that, right? Like YOLO,
Guilty.
We're going to figure out what happens. Right?
Oh my God, so guilty. Yeah. I made something really quick that kind of shows off like visually what we're talking about, is because a lot of times in AI coding, I'm just kind of doing a spec or plan or some type of feature. And in essence, we're breaking that plan apart into these small little chunkable pieces that we can check the code in. And a little bit later, folks, in the live stream, we're going to cover a little bit of what that looks like in my project, because I've actually already started to implement this inside of using Droid. But we're also going to like freestyle and get into Claude Code and see what that looks like in there, play around with some codecs as well. This is going to be a really fun live stream. And I'm really excited to kind of talk about this, because what I'm doing is like I have a massive plan that's probably like, it says 530 lines, right? And so this was able to get chunked out. And this is something, if you want to kind of stay towards the very end, we're not only get to play with it when you get a chance to sign up as well, but I'm going to show you kind of some of the prompts that we use. It's like really straightforward once we kind of tell the agent how this type of system works. And then it's going to start to break apart the changes and put them in for us, which is really nice. And I also, for those who are wondering, I also use Git Tower. It's my visual way of doing this. And I didn't realize they actually had a Graphite integration until today. I just found out like literally minutes before this live stream. And this is kind of what this looks like as far as like reviewing my changes. So for me, I like you said, I don't want to review those thousands of lines. And I like that it's kind of stacked in this way, because now I can actually kind of break apart these different areas. So now, especially since I'm working on the back end right now, I'm working on the queries, the mutations, and then I'm able to kind of review, like this. Look, this is a beautiful review. For me, it feels like a text message. So it's like, okay, cool. I can look through this. I can be like, okay, why are we doing this? Or like, I can start to have this iteration back and forth on some type of thing. And so in the middle of these things, it helps me then visualize and say, okay, now I'm really just focused on the admin piece of this code and really specifically focus on this function. Does this new code really make sense to me, or does it not, right? Because I'm going to have like a new feature to approve a feature flag or a featured image, and we're going to insert now 2 mutations. So this type of way is really beautiful. And to me, previously, I would just be like, okay, there's too much code there. Okay, it looks good. It looks good to me. I'm not going to lie with you, Thomas. Part of the reason why I'm loving TypeScript is because the types themselves kind of like compile, and like if they don't, like something's broken, I should probably go take a look as a safeguard. But I think that was just kind of like me sort of pushing back the whole reason of why I wanted to review codes and stuff like that. So I want to see if you can show us a little bit more of like some of the slides or something that you have for showing off this like little workflow, because that'd be kind of fun to show people a little bit kind of like what the stack diff workflow is and how we can start to integrate it, because this is something that I'm trying to use to improve like my workflow. And I think a lot of people will benefit from this conversation as well. I also want to give a shout out to, Aaron saying, hey, what is Graphite? So yeah. And then I think, we can kind of get into that as well. Yeah.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's see if I can get your screen up here. Okay, cool.
Okay, and perfect. Screen is going. Beautiful. Yeah. Cool. I think one of the slides I've used, I'm taking this image actually from the Pragmatic Engineer. It was they did a piece on this like 2 years ago, and I think it's one of the cleanest descriptions that I've seen of it, which is that normally what happens is you go ahead, you make your copy of main, you make some code changes, you create a PR, and then while you wait for it to be approved, you kind of get stuck, right? That's the little waiting icon. And then eventually it gets approved and you get merged. The whole idea of stacking is, okay, cool. After you make it, go ahead and make some more code changes, go ahead and create a PR, and while you wait for it to be approved, go ahead and create some more code changes, create a PR, and while you wait for it to be approved. And you kind of get the whole idea. And the reason to do this, which I think people sort of like get stuck behind, is because it just makes you a lot faster, right? Normally you end up getting these massive blocks. Reviewing them is really tough. Maybe you don't review them at all. And working with your teammates just hate it, right? No one ever, I don't know how many of you like have worked at a company where you get this like 7,000 line thing, you're like, I don't want to read this. I have no idea what's going on here. Like, this is an hour of work for me to understand. And with stacking, I think one of the really elegant ways to talk about it is it really lets the author tell a story to their reviewers, right? You get to say like, oh, like I implemented maybe the server and then maybe the front end and then maybe some analytics on top of it. And so it's really easy for a teammate to go into that and understand like, oh, cool, like that makes sense. In some ways, Ray and I were joking, it's like the plan that the bot's already write, right? Like if you've worked with AI tools, you teach them to like plan and they'll talk you through their steps. And it'd be so much easier if we could review those steps as steps than anything else. That's kind of the big reason to use it. The other reasons I like to talk around are your code actually gets merged faster, and you'll have fewer rebase conflicts. You get merged faster because I think, again, it's way easier to read these smaller chunks, and so they get reviewed much faster. And then conflicts, well, if you and someone else are working on the same code base and you both put up these 5,000 line PRs, the chance that they're going to have some overlapping code is way higher than if you both make small edits and like quickly commit them. And so that's sort of the 2 cents.
That's cool. We have a comment here. This is, can you explain the very basic code base on how to set up stacking?
Totally. And so in a code base, so I see two questions I want to answer. I'll start with this one. How do you set up stacking in a code base? Your code base is already good for stacking. Stacking is the way by which you make like changes, right? And so if you're using Git, the idea of stacking is, well, normally you might make a branch so that you can later merge it, and that's then later you would check out main, you would make another branch, you would add some changes to that, and then you merge that in. The idea of stacking is that when you create that branch, rather than basing it on main, just base it on another branch, right? And so then you have those changes. And then the other question I saw is, well, what if you have some changes in one of those first PRs, right? This one. What if they reflect the full stack? What if you want to resume the last PR on the stack if moving in and out easy enough? So if the first PR has a lot of changes, honestly, I think the idea is that every PR will reflect the changes it has. The full stack is an aggregate of features, right? But you don't necessarily want to review that all at once. You want to review those individually because maybe they even have different people who need to review them. For example, if you have, I think around a lot of features have server changes and front-end changes, right? It's really easy to break things up as, okay, first I'm going to do my server changes. I'm going to go ahead and create some endpoint. The endpoint's going to exist. And then later I'm going to go ahead and create the front-end changes, right? And the people who need to review it, or maybe the like things you look for when you review those two are actually quite different, right? And one, maybe you're looking more for like UI design and like how the thing looks and feels, or if you use your design system, are you using Tailwind correctly, right? And then on the server, you might be looking at like, what's like my database schema, right? Like, is this the right data model to keep and things like that?
Yeah, so maybe we can kind of draw it out here. So like we have PR2 and then we have like PR3. And then I feel like we also have like areas of concerns, right? In terms of like features and stuff. So whenever you have a big spec or plan, like for example, I have, like you said, front end, I have some back end changes as well. And for me, I think like in my case, I have like the database. Okay.
That is huge.
That database. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to just copy this here. So this is really cool. So we have like database and then this could be like front end or something like that.
Yeah.
And so usually, typically I would just create different PRs for all the different changes and try to like, I would just have like this one PR just kind of sitting out here. And then like, I call it PR or something like front end. And then XYZ, and then like this one would be over here. And then, maybe this one for the database would be the one that was just kind of sitting like over here, right? And like I have the code, maybe I know what I want to do, but I don't want to put that in yet because I'm waiting for the front end changes, or I don't want some type of like ordering or something like that to happen. And so what I find a lot, especially in my AI coding, is like I'm trying to keep a lot of this in my head, especially around, I try to center everything around like a spec, a plan, or a feature. That's just so I know I can ship software. And I'm only one person, but a lot of times, even when I'm walking, I have a new bug that I need to figure out. For example, like, okay, I need to figure out something that's going to deal with security or something like that. Now that I'm walking, I have this new idea. I want to throw it into this like spec or something like that? Does it fit into this type of thing? And so like in essence, you can kind of group a lot of your concerns to like these different areas, right? In the stack, in kind of like this way, right? It's like, okay, so here's PR3, and then I guess if we can kind of go from the top down as far as like order, like these are maybe some of the changes that have to land in this order or something like that, or vice versa and stuff. If you're kind of thinking this way, so like it could just be like PR1. Let me see, PR1. It's probably just be this way. Yeah, so it could be something like this. You know, we could even have something like, okay, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this type of action. And so the stacking concept is the fact that like all of this is just like technically one big giant pull request, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And so I think in without stacking, this is all one big pull request, right? And that's super tough to read. It's super tough to understand. I think one of the things you hear from developers, right, is like, oh, like when you read a PR, like especially like a 7,000 line PR, you might have to read it many times because you first are like getting the summary of the thing and then you're going to figure it out. With stacking, you can hopefully do a once through, right? Where you look at it and you're like, cool, I understand what this PR does. Now, what are the other PRs it's related to? What order are they going to land in? What is this whole thing laddering up into? And so again, it's that like idea of telling a story.
So this is a great question from Jack. It seems a very genuine problem. Curious why GitHub directly does not support stacking.
Yeah.
And what if they introduce /graphite die? What's more? Yeah, so we should probably also cover like what graphite is and kind of cover a little bit of what you guys do and how kind of solving this problem. Yeah.
Of course, 100%. So Graphite is, we like to say it's a code review platform to help you create, review, and merge code faster. That's what we do. Stacking is one of our core features. It's actually how the company got started, which is just a fun story we can riff on maybe in the second hour. Why don't Git and GitHub support this? So they're trying to. Is the real answer. The whole story of the company for a long time, if you go ahead and you look at my Twitter, you'll see back in like 2020, I spent a lot of time tweeting at Nat, the then GitHub CEO, being like, why is no one focused on stacking? This is the world's most important problem. People really need to support it. And I think the honest answer is that just many people didn't really understand the concept, right? Like we're on this live stream talking about it, but back then it was more this niche thing. A lot of people who had worked at Google and Facebook, which have both developed internal tools to support this, had the idea, but kind of the rest of the world was just like, I have my Git workflow and it works fine. And I think it wasn't really until the like advent of like the AI agents when suddenly we started getting these 7,000 line changes when people were like, holy crap, we need a better Git workflow. The Git changes which are happening, which I'm super stoked by, there are two of them. So one is called -- update refs, which makes rebasing way easier. But rebasing is a really scary word. And I think it's one of the things that gives stacking a bad name. Right now, we were talking earlier, like what happens if you have to update an earlier branch? Well, right now, the best way to do that in Git is rebasing. And rebasing, I don't know about you, Ray. I've been doing Git for quite some time. It still scares me. You know, it's so easy to mess up. There's so many things that can go wrong. And so it's just a frightening concept. And then the second one is change IDs. In stacks, you need a way to identify basically PRs as they change over time. Git natively doesn't have a way to support this, but there's been some movement in the Git stack recently, and hopefully it will get added, but we're talking years. GitHub, meanwhile, I would love for them to have stacking. I think it's like the world's greatest workflow. I think it would improve every developer everywhere. It seems like there's maybe getting some motion there, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It's been a long time coming, and I hope we can get it.
Yeah, so it sounds like for people who are just tuning in, trying to figure out what like this concept is, it's kind of like a foreign thing. I think Jack was also asking if there's a way to kind of demonstrate it with like a new code base. So that way, instead of like kind of like a preloaded one, I don't know if you have one that's kind of loaded up or something that we can kind of show to get started. And then we'll and then we can pop into some existing code bases or whatever and kind of show people some of the workflow. Because this platform, you know, I kind of wanted to start on more of the Git side of things, because for me, like I feel like this is an interesting concept, especially in this AI age, like you're saying, like there's all these people checking in code, and I'm trying to be more in the driver's seat now, just to verify the code that's coming into my like actual repo. And it's been really fun to generate code, but yeah, also there's some like low key responsibility as you start to handle user data and like, you know, all those different types of boundaries for things that it's kind of easy to miss, especially if you're starting to scale up and add lots and lots of features. And I think when you get a chance to share the screen, then I could just pop it in here.
100%.
Okay, cool.
And what I was going to say was I really feel that like we have gone ahead and really had the like, we've really gone full circle on, we used to really be like vibe coding to where it's at, you don't need to read the code anymore. And now I think people have sort of seen both the good and the bad of that and are now like, we definitely should be reading the code, but like reading the code is hard. So like, what are we going to do with it? You know?
Well, while you get that going, I want to show people a little bit from the platform on Graphite. So to get started, there's like a little getting started documents. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. It's called installing the CLI. And so to get started here, folks, you just have to go to this site here. I actually have it linked down below here. And this, I also put it into the live stream link, and and this is actually currently in the show notes as well on YouTube. So all we have to do is just kind of install and authenticate. We use brew install to install the Graphite plugin here. And then you can just verify by using the GT command. So the GT command in the command line is going to be the one that actually sets up the integration for this type of thing. And so that's how once you have this tool installed, that's what you're going to be calling. And then this is perfect because whenever you're using these like Claude Code, Codex, Factory Droid, they're so good at command line interfaces. And so this is like the really like easy way, native way for it to do its thing. Graphite also offers a whole bunch of other features too. I didn't really want to turn this into a commercial, but I guess that people are asking about it anyway. So like, there's like, you know, the AI reviews and stuff is really interesting. And I kind of wanted to show you that. Because I started first checking in my repo, and these were some of the first reviews that came back. And Cursor, I have Cursor BugBot installed. I have, that's like $40 a month. You know, I have like I think it's like the Vercel one, and there's like all of these different ones that are currently running in my repo, and they've stayed quiet. And this is the first one that actually came back at me saying, hey, here are different categories of bugs that you have in your current repo. And I like the way that it actually kind of like shows them in my feed here. So in the AI reviews, there's an AI review section. And for those folks who sign up, if you scan that QR code down there, it's going to get you to sign up for 1 month. And then you can add the coupon code that says STACKWITHRAY, and you basically get 2 months. So this is the AI code review stuff that I'm just showing off right here. You can try it out for 2 months for those who are wondering. And Graphite is sponsoring the stream, and part of the sponsorship and the thing is like, I want people to try this along with me. And so as we're seeing here, like it caught some really good bugs for like, there was one here for the security issue, which I found was interesting. It's like the mutation should validate the admin disables like images and cannot be featured. So like this is just telling me to add like a nice little validation check. And then this other one was like a logic bug, which I thought was interesting. It's like, oh yeah, when you forget a comma in a certain place, that can break it sometimes, and it's not going to actually enforce the schema. And I was like, that is I mean, there's so many bugs like this that happen in like even very large code bases that do break things in production that you don't really find out later on. So the quality, and it's not overwhelming my feed. There's only like 3 bugs, but they're really, really good. And, it's like code quality and style. And I like this categorization and stuff. So this is only like one of the many features. Obviously they have insights. They have like this little merge queue. And this is like the PR inbox that kind of so like in essence, you can use Graphite as your main interface for kind of managing your Git environment and stuff like that. So these are PRs that are currently waiting for review for me. These are currently drafts that I have currently spun up. And we're going to go a little bit more into this as well. But the command line part is where you get started here. The quick start guide is here with GT. So this one is also available here in the documentation. So this is about creating a stack. And this is what we're going to get into with Tomas right now. And so this is like the basic concept. And so I'll let Tomas take it away from here.
Amazing. I'm going to share a terminal. How's that sound?
Cool. Yeah.
Let's dive into something. Cool. Awesome. We got it here. So I went ahead.
See if you can increase the font a little bit here. Yeah.
Here we go. How's that?
Perfect. Yeah. Good? Looks good. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. So I went ahead. I made like the world's smallest Git repo for us for a second. Right now, it just has like a quick demo.txt. I'm on branch. If I were to run git status, you'd see that I'm on branch main with nothing to commit. And if I were to run git branch, you would see that there are like 6 branches in here that I just created. Now, this is not really the full story of stacking, right? The story of stacking is that you should be creating branches off of other branches. And so the easiest way to visualize it is through Graphite. Our command line tool is called GT. And the first command that I love to teach people is GTlog. So what GTlog is going to do is it's going to show me a repository sort of as a graph here, right? So I'm on branch main, and I know that because it's highlighted and it says current. And main has 3 directly descendant branches, right? So it has this account for empty state, this fixed crash and reload, and this activity feed open API spec. But what's really interesting around this activity feed open API spec is that there's a line coming out of it to activity feed server API. And out of that branch, there's a different line to activity feed front end. These 3 branches together make what we call a stack, right? So a stack is just a set of branches that have dependencies between one another, right? So we have here like main, activity feed open API spec, server API, and front end. Based on the naming of this, my guess here is that I'm working on some feature called activity feed, right? And I've broken it out into 3 distinct portions, right? So the first one is I made an open API spec. We're good. We went ahead and we made the server API based on that, right? So we implemented that endpoint. And then we went ahead and made the front end, which calls that endpoint. And one of the key features of stacking is that every branch is only dependent on the things below it, right? So the open API spec, I can make that. It's totally fine if I have an endpoint definition that maybe isn't fully implemented, especially if no one's calling it yet. Then I go ahead and I add the server API. It's totally fine to have an endpoint that no one calls on the front end. And lastly, I go ahead and I built the front end that calls into it. And so the idea of breaking it up like this is that it's really easy for me or someone else to go ahead and say what's in the activity feed server? And it would tell you, it's just this change server endpoint, right? Or the front end, well, it's just some front end logic. It's based on this other thing. And what's great about that is you have some really, really focused changes that are easy to understand. When it's one day time to merge this, you would merge it from bottom up. So you go activity feed, open API spec, merge it, activity feed server API, merge that, and then front end, go ahead and merge that. Any questions, Ray? Or from the audience? Are you planning to extend beyond code review to other parts of the development workflow? In the longest limit, for sure. But right now, we think there's so much to iterate on in code review. Code review is just such this critical portion that I think so many developers struggle with, that is kind of scary to a lot of people, and that really hasn't been iterated on for a lot of time. Cool. And are you planning on showing some code, or is it just terminal-based storytelling? I can totally show code. Want me to go ahead and pull that open? Let me see what I can do here. I'm gonna figure out how to open up cursor here. Give me 1 second. Cool. Perfect. Okay. Sweet. And I went ahead and I am gonna share my screen. So if I go ahead and share my screen, there we go. So you saw I was on main. I didn't have any changes here. I got cursor. All I got is some demo text. What's cool about that, let me see if I can go ahead and make this, fix this to the left side. Beautiful. Is that if I were to then go ahead and do...
Oh, I was on mute. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
If I were to go ahead and do, so here I don't got much, right? I just have main. If I were to go ahead and check out open API spec, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do that with git checkout, what you'd see is I've gone ahead and I've added the open API YAML here. So here I've gone ahead and added some example of okay, maybe there's some open API. If I then run GT up, which keeps running me up the stack, you'll go ahead and see I implement a server. And then right after that, if I do GT up again, you'll go ahead and see that I've implemented some front end for that. And what's cool about this is if I were to run GT log again, you'd see that it knows that I'm on the top of the stack. And this view's a little dense here. And so my favorite command to show people now is GT log short. That shows me the same information, just in a little bit more of a condensed form. Cool. Do you want me to go ahead and show you how you can update or create a stack?
Yeah, and also maybe show us some of the interface that You would, if people were interacting
Yeah.
with the GUI and stuff in Graphite, that'd be kind of cool.
Hell yeah. So let's say that I've gone ahead, I've implemented this front end, and now I need to go ahead and I want to add a new icon set, right? So like, okay, I did the front end, it was great, but as I'm looking at it, or maybe I showed it to a friend, they're like, hey, Tomas, this is great, but like, you probably should add like you probably should change these icons, right? I'm like, that's a great point. So I go ahead, in this case, I'm gonna do something really simple, which is I'm just gonna pretend I like touch like an icons file, right? Touch an icons.ts. Great, I've created some kind of file. I now need to go ahead and create a new branch and a new PR on that. I can either do that in Git, or an even simpler way to do that using Graphite is I can just run gt create, and I can give it some name like feet, add icons. And if I really want to give it a branch name, I can just type one here, but I'm not going to, and Graphite will figure it out automatically for me. It goes ahead and says, hold up, you haven't staged any changes, right? I think one of the things that people find really confusing in Git is this idea that they need to stage changes. And so it will go ahead and be like, hold on, you don't have any changes staged, but you're creating this branch. Do you want to just include these changes? I'm like, totally. And so it goes ahead and creates that branch. When I go ahead and run gt log short one more time, you'll see that my stack of 3 has grown into a stack of 4. Amazing. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run gt submit. And what gt submit is going to do is it's going to go ahead, it's going to check if these PRs already exist, and then it's going to go ahead and automatically open up a bunch of PRs for me. And so it's going to go ahead and do that there. Beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and drag this into screen. And then what I'm going to see, this is Graphite staging we're on.
See if you can
what I'll go ahead
increase the font here too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
How's this?
A little bit bigger, I think. I think.
Cool.
Yeah,
We're going to get really
there you go. Yeah,
mobile.
perfect. Yeah.
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 The responsive design is going to jump into mobile in a second. But
that's perfect. Yeah.
It goes ahead and it's created 4 PRs that I can just go look at. If this were reality, I might go ahead and edit the description or change some things. For now, this is just a demo, so I'm just going to publish all 4 of these PRs. It's going to go ahead and show me all 4. Go and publish right there. And now they've gone ahead, they've been created, I get some confetti.
Nice.
If I view the topmost PR, Graphite has a whole code review viewer, and we can show you what that looks like in a second, but people always seem to want to see the links on GitHub, and so I'll start there.
I see.
What you'll see is that we've created all 4 of those PRs off of main in a stack. And so on every PR, there's this comment. It's maintained for you automatically by Graphite, which goes ahead and says we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you were to go ahead and look at the files changed, for example, here in front end, you'd see they're only the front end files, right? Because it's based on the server API. And so back here on the conversation, you can see even GitHub knows that it's based on this other PR.
See if you can zoom in here too. That'd be nice.
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How's this?
Yeah, it can show us. So it looks like it breaks it apart in these different, like so this is like the main tracking high level like implementation for the PR, and then the stack, right? And then the rest of them are in there. So in GitHub, they don't necessarily, while they support the feature, it's visually not something they've built out for a UI yet or anything like that.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right. Hopefully they will.
That's excellent. So I think Jack has a good question about merging conflicts as well, because that's also a hairy one.
It's a great question. Well, let's first show you how to update things, right? And then we'll talk about merge conflicts. So
okay, cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and open this, and let's say that one of you, or maybe AI code reviewer, automatically detects like, "Hey, Tomas, this looks good," but actually you're running the server on the wrong port, right? And I'm like, "Oh my God, you're totally right." So what I do is I go ahead and I check out the server one. Again, I'm just using Git here. I go ahead, I open up the server, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we run API servers on port 8000. That's going to conflict with some things." And now I have a change. Right. And I think that this is where someone was asking around stacking in Git. I think this is where it can get hairy because you have to do some rebase magic, very confusing. No one likes to do it. And so instead, what you can do here is you can just run gt modify. And what gt modify is going to do is it's going to say, "Hey, what are you trying to change?" I want to change everything I just did, that whole thing. And it's going to go ahead both and update it. And then it's going to go ahead and run run these restack commands that just got erased when my terminal went like that. Cool. It's going to go ahead and do run these restack commands and update everything. So now when I go ahead and run gt submit one more time, what's going to happen is it's going to say, hey, you've updated a PR, and also there are some PRs on top of this one that also need to be updated. Do you want me to update those as well? So I'm like, yep, totally. And what happens is it goes ahead, it detects that those 3 need to be updated, and it goes ahead and pushes the updates to all 3 of those. So now all of them are, we've done that rebase automatically, nothing stressful about it, it's all handled for us. When I go ahead and I open that right back up in either GitHub or Graphite, if I were to go ahead and open the server API and look at files changed, you'd see that now it's running on the right port, 8000. That looks good, and I've included everything.
That's amazing.
So what happened? Yeah, it's really cool when you see the whole thing working. It just feels like magic. And then the question was, I think, that we started with, well, what happened if there are merge conflicts? The answer there is that Graphite will go ahead. It'll drop you right into like the Git merge conflict resolution flow. You can patch up your files, and then rather than running Git merge -- continue, you just run gt continue, and we'll keep rebasing the rest of the stack for you.
Wow. So that's super duper handy. And that specific stack that you're working at is only that code. So all the other rebasing stuff doesn't get flooded into your pull request for that thing. And you can still continue to work like in that isolated environment. You're like, okay, yep, that's the change. And since you made a change to that, is it going to show also diffs within that? Like, can you see a commit history too within that and see those?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So when you run gt modify, we do a amend. And so when you amend on GitHub, it's not great. It shows you that you went ahead and you updated it from A to B. That's kind of ugly. In Graphite though, we'll go. This is where I'll talk around our own product. We actually keep track of all of that. And so here you'll see that I have activity feed server. That's great. And I'm looking at the original versus the V2 of the branch, right? There were 2 times I updated this.
Wow.
If I were to go ahead and look at maybe V1 versus V2, it would go ahead and tell me that what I did was I changed port from 3000 to 8000.
Nice. Yeah, because in GitHub it doesn't show that stuff that you were saying, and then that's basically in the Graphite interface. Jack has a great example about like what is a rebase, and maybe perhaps an example.
Oh, totally.
Jack's coming out.
Jack, I love it. Give me 30 seconds to open up Excalidraw. And let's go ahead and draw some examples. How's that sound?
Let's cook. I love all these questions. By the way, this is a live stream and you're watching live. And if you don't know, I'm here with Tomas, one of the co-founders of Graphite. And Graphite is like officially a sponsor of this live stream. And I asked them and said, hey, I know that my audience likes to code along with the stuff that they provide. So they currently provide like a free month to try the team plan. And because you're hanging out on this live stream with me, they're giving everyone who's watching this live stream now an additional month. And for you to kind of just get started on that, all you have to do is check out that QR code down below. It's rfer.me/graphite. And that's where you go to sign up, and you just use the code. The code is STACKWITHRAY. So I have that little code down below. So after you sign up, if you want to get the billing stuff going, just put that in there. So you're going to get an additional month, which includes the AI code review stuff, but this stuff that we're talking about for the Git stacking. It's a pretty extensive platform, and we're really just scratching the surface. And this is a workflow that I'm really curious about learning more about. And I'm just extremely excited to have Tomas on. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to let you go back to the Excalidraw here. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Let me zoom in. How's this?
Cool. Yeah, it looks good.
Amazing. Cool. So in that example, we just had server and we had front end, right? And so normally in Git, what you have is that you basically have a bunch of changes, right? So you have main, and then you made some changes onto server, and then on top of that, you made some changes onto front end. That's what sort of GT log was showing you. Now, when you go ahead and update one of these branches, this is where we're going to get into like the secret magic of Git. We're actually just making a copy of server, and we're basically saying server v2. Because Git, the way it works under the hood is it actually keeps track of everything. Whenever you update something, you're just making another copy of it. And that's what makes it so powerful as a version control system. Because if you ever need to go backwards, that backwards version is stored there for you, right? Now, what rebasing is saying, so this is what happens, right? We had this main server front end. I went ahead and I created server v2. This is still here, right? It's just hidden from us, right? And maybe if you use something like VS Code's Git view or Git tower, you don't see it, but it is actually there under the hood, just being secretly kept. What's magical around rebasing is rebasing basically says, hey, like I had this other change. Rather than going ahead and, rather than being based on this, I want to update to a v2 because it has a new parent. And so parent is what in Git, every change is based on another. Every change is based on another change, right? And so rebasing is the magic that basically lets you say, hey, I know I have this change with this parent. I want you to make this exact change on this new parent, right? I want you to change the base of that change. I just use the word change a lot. But that's the idea sort of that allows you to that's the idea that allows you to automatically create new parents for things. Now, the way you run this is with this command, git rebase. And there's actually a great Stack Overflow post that talks around git rebase actually has 3 different versions. It can either take 1, 2, or 3 parameters. And I think this is part of the reason why stacking isn't more popular, is because this command is so complicated, right? As one who spent the past 5 years just building tooling on top of it, I still can't tell you what the 3 different arguments are, right? Whoa. And so it's hard to understand. And I think that the primitives we want as developers, this is where we say sort of like we created 2 because I think that's all you need. You have GT create and you have GT modify. Because I think that's pretty much what you want to do. You want to create changes and you want to modify changes you made before.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's break it down a little more simpler. I think someone's asking about a simpler way for users to understand these commands for easier use. So like maybe we can start with like GT create or GT modify in that way to kind of see if we can, yeah.
Let's talk about it. So let's pretend that I'm on main and I have some files, right? So let's say that I've gone ahead and I've created my like server.js file, right? Mm-hmm. In Git, you now need to create a commit and a branch. The way you usually do this is you do git checkout and then git commit, right? Mm-hmm. Graphite's answer here is the only command you need is GT create. And GT create under the hood is actually just running 2 commands. It's running git add all, or let me go ahead and do this, and git branch or git checkout -b some branch name. There we go. Right. And so this is what's happening under the hood when you run GT create. And you can do this again, right? So we then go ahead and we don't just make server.ts, we also go ahead and make a front end, right? So let's say that we're working on a Next.js app or a V app, and we want to go ahead and we want to update that front end. So we go ahead, we make a new front end here, and now we have some front end code. Awesome. And I can run GT create again, one more time, to go ahead and create that. Now, later down the line, you realize that you actually need to update this code, right? So you have main and front end, and you actually want to go ahead and update the code that you stored in server. To do that, you run GT modify. And what GT modify is doing under the hood is it's going to go ahead and it's do git add all, and then it's going to do a git commit under the hood. Whoop. Or actually, git commit, that's actually running all of these. Let me go ahead and put that there for you. Mm-hmm. And it's then going to do a sequence of, I'm not even going to type it out because it's too complicated, but a bunch of git rebases. And that's what allows it to basically update that change and all of the future changes with the work that you just made.
Wow. Sweet. So yeah, I guess he says, would it be continuously changing the parents? Should this not happen automatically?
Would it be continuously changing the parents? Should it not? Should not this be happening automatically? I'm confused by the question. I'll be honest.
I think maybe he was talking probably earlier in the point when we were doing like the Git branching and the when we were doing probably the stacking and stuff and like the concept of the rebase and then having to update that type of thing all the time. So yeah.
Totally. I think I'll say, isn't this updating the parents from sort of like, for when you update server, shouldn't front end automatically be updated to server? I would say it definitely should be. It is not today. And so that's kind of the problem that we solve. That's probably the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool if there's like a way that maybe we can kind of take a look at this maybe in Claude Code or something and see how we can configure this in Claude Code, because that could be really cool. I feel like we have a project. So for those who are just getting started, there's another question from Lonnie says, is there backtracking for version control?
Backtracking like undo?
Yeah. Like how?
Totally.
Yeah. Like how would you snap back? Like just say, okay, I just did all these check-ins, or maybe my agent checked in all this code and I really don't want this change because now, I don't agree with what the agent did. Almost like a snapshot or something like that. Yeah.
100%. In Graphite, you can just run GT undo and it automatically just snaps back.
It's like the most recent one that was just put in.
Yeah. So if you wanted to undo that change that we just did, you just run GT undo and it would undo all of it.
Interesting. Is there a plugin for like VS Code? Jack has a really great question for like GT create, GT modify. Because I know they have like a
100%. So we have a VS Code extension. VS Code, Cursor, Windsurf. It's all under the hood. But if you use one of those editors, you can just go ahead and install Graphite from the extension store, and you're good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see if I can get that kind of, because I have it currently set up in Cursor, and I should just be able to go to extensions, go to Graphite. And
Graphite, and then Graphite stacked sometimes shows up. Graphite code is different. We're looking for. We just published to the Cursor store. Try Graphite. 1 second. Let me find it.
Okay.
Graphite. Go ahead. No, why can't I find it? Okay, cool. I'll send you a link because this marketplace is the OpenVSX marketplace, right?
Yeah.
I'll send you a link.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because there's also like a command line to install it too if it's not showing up. It's like like the VS Code command line way to do it. Let's see if I can find it. New window here. Yeah, let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, because that'd be really cool to get this kind of set up. Yeah, we're just doing this live, folks. Why not?
Figuring it out. Okay. Why not?
Yeah. And then if I go to VS Code, let me see code, VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Oops. Do I still have it? VS Code. I guess not.
Here, I can send it to you.
Oh, perfect.
It's been a second. The world's changing on us for sure. Here you go. I just sent you a link to OpenVSX. We need to fix I don't even know what you call it, the SEO for Cursor on that one. But yeah. Graphite.
So this plugin will actually show up inside of VS Code just like this, or Cursor. And okay. So if I ask like ChatGPT or Claude or something, Claude, what is the command line way to install this plugin in VS Code? And let's see, I should give it web access. Yes. Okay. Because usually there's like this code command that lets you install these from, I think here it is. Yeah. Sweet.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, code install extension this. So, and then instead of, if you're using Cursor, it would just be cursor dash this, because Cursor is a fork of VS Code. So let's go back into Cursor. Let me just get this installed here. Whoops. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, seems to have installed for me.
Okay, cool. There we go. Yeah, Graphite GTI. Perfect. Well, that was easy.
Cool.
Let me put this in the chat so that people will have this in the chat as well. Yeah. Could you paste the link, please? Yeah, Cursor. And then if you use code, VS Code would be that. So I'll put this in here. So if you're wondering what the code is, I pasted this currently in, I guess it's only showing up in the YouTube live stream on Twitch. It's not showing up on X, unfortunately, because my chat doesn't go through that yet. So if you can change out cursor to code if you're using VS Code. And if you're using cursor to install the extension, all you have to do is just run this other command there. So that's the way you do it. For anyone who's curious, you could just do the exact same command. If you only see a plugin that's currently not available, especially this is pretty common in cursor, either there's a cache or I don't know what exactly they're doing for that to show up in their store. That's just like the best way to do that. It shows ZSH command not found cursor. I
think you need to install cursor through cursor. If you do Command P in cursor and then the like megaphone, install cursor command. Yeah,
there's a cursor command. Okay, Command P. So let's see, Command P.
Or there's another way to do that, but you have to install the cursor command in the CLI. It's not done by default.
Yeah. Okay. So here you go. Yeah. Command Shift P, and then if you type in install, it'll say shell command install cursor command. Yeah, that's exactly what he's showing there. Yeah. And so once you install that, that's then how you're going to be able to install the cursor command here. And then from there, it's basically like replicating the VS Code command. And then that's the install extension Graphite. That's awesome. So if I go to Graphite, now it should be Graphite. Cool. So I have this now installed.
Cool.
Awesome. Whoa, we're cooking then. Sweet.
There you go.
And so I should then be able to select it from this here. I think here. Cool.
Yep. And then you're going to see your stack right there.
Let's go. Oh, wow. Oh, that's way easier than having it inside of Git Tower and stuff. Oh my God.
Also, if you want to use Git Tower, we love the Git Tower team. Phenomenal.
I have Git Tower and I got this set up here. Yeah.
And I'll call out right now our VS Code extension, cursor extension. I don't even know what to call it these days. The extensions, these are in beta. So we just started cooking on this, expect it to get a lot better over the next like 3 months probably. But this is our first beta release. Also, buyer beware. There may be bugs in that one. The CLI though is rock solid.
Oh, wow. That's, with the CLI, right. And so if I click any of these, this basically will show me the diffs. Oh my God, that's so nice. Wait, so instead of running the command line changes.
You could just double click on that to check it out, I believe.
Oh, so I could snap to this?
Yeah.
What?
And you can, if you want to rebase them, so let's say you want to do some rebasing, which is normally pretty hard, you can just drag and drop. So if you're to drag, for example, that top one to that bottom one.
This one here to this one?
If you want.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and show you.
On your screen?
I have it open.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh,
give me 30 seconds.
Okay.
Wow. Let me go ahead and pull that open. I just went ahead and
so the concept for those who are watching at home, main is at the bottom, and the most recent changes would be at the very top, right? As far as the stack. Yeah.
Well, I just broke my Graphite extension. Cool. This is what happens when you're on alpha. I'll go ahead and figure out how to fix it. But for those following at home, if you wanted to go ahead and just drag and drop them, it makes rebasing really, really easy. And so
you
that's
can
the whole idea there.
So like up here, you just drag. Wait, hold on.
And you can drag. I think.
I had to check out this one.
Okay. Because you have uncommitted changes. That's what's going on.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, okay. So instead of using this little branch here, I could just use this guy, and then this kind of tracks everything right over here. Graphite. I'm going to pin this one so I have it available. Oh, this is way more useful.
There you go.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Select the trunk branch. You will open the pull request against what command should I run now? Okay, so I think Jack's kind of coding along with us. It's asking select trunk branch. You will open a pull request against what command should I run in the new code base?
Sorry. So it's asking select a trunk branch, which what command should I run? New code base. Great question. So in that code base, you should run just GT init. So the first time that you go ahead and you set up Graphite in a repository, if you run GT init, it goes ahead and it basically, it says, okay, now that we're going to have a stack, what is the what is the like base most branch that you're working on. For most people, it's main or master, but some people and some repositories have their own setup, and we want to support all of it.
Yeah. Why don't you tell them a little bit more about Graphite and kind of catch them up? There's some folks who are just joining. I'm going to fix my camera because it's sunrise right now in Hawaii. As you can tell, it's really bright. And
it looks beautiful, Ray. Yeah. I am so jealous of being in Hawaii. How about I show you some of the web stuff? How's that sound?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be actually really cool. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's get over to that then. So we were just working with this little demo stack. I'll go ahead and pop that open. Here we are. Can you see this? We're good to go?
Yeah, I can see it here. Yeah.
Amazing. So what makes Graphite so cool here is I'm gonna go ahead. You're watching all of our like secret employee mode stuff. But what makes Graphite so cool on the web is we're this like code review platform that makes it easier to review PRs that syncs to GitHub. And I want to emphasize that. So for example, here, if I were to go ahead and I just say like, this is a comment, right? That looks great. And I were to pop open this guy in GitHub, I would go ahead and, let me go ahead and do that. I would go ahead and see that exact same comment over here in GitHub. And I can edit this comment. I can reply to this comment. I can even emoji react to this comment. I'll do that right now. I can emoji react to this comment, pop back to Graphite, and in 2 seconds or less without doing anything, everything is synced between the two. And so really you can adopt Graphite on your team, even if everyone else is still using GitHub. Now, you might be asking, okay, cool. So if this is just a GitHub wrapper, why do I want to use it? And the answer is because we make a lot of things way easier to understand. So for example, here, let's go ahead and open the activity feed front end. I have this PR. It's not all that complicated, but I can go ahead and let's say I'm not sure what's happening. I can be like, what does this PR do? And for the same value that you got chat in your editor, and it probably made things a lot easier, you can go ahead and see what's happening over here. And please, if for those of you who are really looking, you might see a $sign down here. Don't worry about it. That's just an employee feature so that we can debug this thing. You're not charged for this when you use Graphite. But so here you can see it says, hey, adds a React component that displays activity feed, fetches the latest activity from the feed endpoint, and renders a list with titles and bodies, includes errors and loading state, right? And maybe I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, like, what is response.ok? You know, I actually have no idea. What is response.ok? And again, the thing can read the docs, it can read the full web, and it can say, hey, it's a Boolean property on the fetch API response that returns true if HTTP status code is in the 200 to 299 range. Cool. What is an HTTP status code? When would it not be in that range? Right? And so chat can go ahead, can pull open all that documentation, can read through a bunch of things, and can tell me that like when you have 4xx, it's a client error, 5xx, it's a server gateway, 3xx, it's a redirect. And what's so cool about Graphite is that this AI isn't just it's not just sort of like reactive, it's also proactive. So as Ray was saying, like every so often, you can go ahead and you find errors. Let me see if I find one. I thought I saw one like a second ago. It can go ahead and basically, as it finds bugs, it'll automatically post them. On these ones, actually, Graphite agent left one comment. What it find? The application will crash if the API returns non-array data. This code assumes activity is always an array, but if the API returns null undefined or object, calling map will throw a runtime error. Here's how to fix it, or here's how to validate this data, right? And maybe you could even validate with the fetch handler. And what's so great about Graphite is I can go ahead, I can look at that comment, I can be like, oh, that's super reasonable. And then I can actually go ahead, take this into chat and say, can you fix this? And it can go ahead and update the PR for me right there on the spot so that I don't need to think about that anymore. And so here it's going, okay, yep, read the code base. It's making a bad edit, and I apologize. I'm always on the beta, so we're gonna see what happens here. Oh, it's getting stuck. Normally in production, you're gonna see that this should work fine. There it goes. Goes ahead, makes a bunch of edits. Cool, and then it can go ahead and fix it. And if I want to, I can apply. I can also view it in an editor and see what it wrote, see how it fixed things, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's sort of Graphite Online. Other than that, we have a bunch of other features that help you with code review. Our inbox, Ray, I'm going to let you show that one off, actually. Helps you see all the PRs that you're currently working on. And then
Sure.
a bunch of other features are helpful as you get into larger teams.
Yeah, there's some folks who are asking, like, what's your X handle? I know some folks want to follow you on X. Yeah.
Tomas Reimers, TOMASREIMERS.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
beautiful.
Is
No,
this?
that's with an H. No H.
Oh, yeah, no H. D-O, yeah.
There you go.
Let me just drop this in
That's me.
Yeah. I'll drop this in the actual chat. So for those on YouTube, you can just go and click along. Let's go.
If you guys want to take hot takes on tech, startups, New York, or Git, that's primarily what I tweet about.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think there's another thing that Jax brings up about using Cursor Bugbot versus Claude Code in GitHub, and then is the Graphite agent better? I think Graphite agent is kind of, yeah, I'll let you talk about that, yeah.
The way I like to describe the difference. So one, I know the Bugbot folks really well. I also know the Claude Code folks really well. I love both of their products. So I'm never going to tell you to use one versus the other. I think the difference with them that we tried really hard on is we make Graphite agent really, 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 I want to say high quality, but I don't mean that the other ones are low quality. I mean that Graphite agent comments only when it's sure there's a bug. So if Graphite agent leaves a bug, you can be absolutely certain that your application is going to crash or it's going to error or something's going to go wrong. I think a lot of the other ones suggest what I'll call improvements, which is like, maybe you should consider this, or maybe this is a thing. But we really, really tried to be dialed in on like you need to fix these things, because if you don't, there's going to be a problem later on for you.
Got it. So let's just say there are some other folks that are kind of new. I feel like there's a spectrum of people who are on my channel from like, CTOs and engineers who are really deep into things. And I think they're going to be super impressed when they just even try out the platform. And then there's the folks who are just kind of getting started, and like their first foray is like actually making apps like in, these various platforms, Claude Code or whatever it is they're working with.
Amazing.
And they maybe have seen us use Git. And they're like, yeah, I think that's important because, when I want to work with other people, that's going to be the language that people use to keep track of things. So I guess the question that someone was asking is like, for someone who doesn't know how to use Git properly, maybe what are some of the steps that they can start taking towards getting some of that like basic understanding? And then this is probably like a much more advanced topic with the Git stacking type of stuff. I would say, but even as a platform without the stacking piece in general, like how does that also help these people who are just getting started with this? Like you said, there's like some really cool AI features you were kind of demoing and other things as well.
Yeah, listen, I think that Git is like, it's one of those things that I remember the first time I learned about it, it kind of blew my mind, So the whole idea of Git is like, you're making changes probably all the time. Sometimes you need to go ahead and you need to undo those changes, or you need to change something, or you want to go back to an old version because you deleted something you didn't mean to, or maybe Claude did, it wasn't you at all. And so source control lets you do that. The source control, though, can be really, really complicated, especially when you're just starting out. I think there are all these features. It's really hard to know what you should know or what you shouldn't know. I'm curious what you think, Ray. I feel my advice to people is always like, start out with what's built into like VS Code or Cursor. Like they have some like really elegant UIs. I saw that you use Git Tower. I think Tower is a great tool for this. But being able to integrate, being able to use these like visual GUIs makes it really a lot more intuitive to pick up some of these concepts. Stacking, I'd say, is maybe like one level above that, which is once you start having these changes created and you want to start reviewing these changes. So there's one world where you're just using source control as basically like really, really powerful persistent undo. There's another world where you're using source control because you want to be able to review the changes, right? So I know that you were about to show off Factory. You have a Droid. Droid makes changes. You need to go ahead and read those changes because, once you start dealing with things like passwords or money, you want to make sure that the code's actually right and it's not just vibe coded. That's when stacking gets really helpful, right? So stacking is a tool to help people, to help break up your changes into small chunks. I think one of the ways which I've seen people use Git, one of the ways I used to use Git, when I like first learned how to code, was just like every day I'd just be like git commit, and the reason there was because at least then, like in the case where like I needed to go back to like Wednesday's code, right? I could just figure out what kind of magical git commands I need to run and I'd get back to Wednesday. And as you get a little bit deeper into that, you stop really doing it as like git commit every day, but you start to instead focus on things like, how do I make this change, right? Like, how do I persist this specific change, right? I just added a button. I remember when we first added chat, right, to Graphite. That was one which was like 10 changes in order. And it was like, okay, well, first we need to create a library that's going to do all of the AI magic. Then we need to expose some endpoints that we can call it on the front end. Then we need to go ahead and actually expose this chat panel. Then we need to go ahead and style it, because the first version was just text. It was horrible. And you get the idea, right? And so that's how you start to break things up over time.
Oh, very cool. And like you said, just getting started, the GUIs are pretty straightforward. Like in Cursor here, there's a little like the Git symbol is right here at the very top. And literally it's just going to show you the changes that are currently inside your code. And so when you click one of the changes, you'll see like an M. It just means like, hey, this is kind of what's happening. And the green will obviously show you what's changed. And on the right sidebar, you'll actually see a red, meaning that's code that's going to be deleted. And the green is just the code that's going to be changing. And then if you want, you can type in a message like, YOLO commit or something. But Cursor also has a thing that lets you generate a message. And I don't know if VS Code now has this too. And so this is just like the really, really basic thing. And you can kind of see a basic version of the branch. And so this can be a little hard to follow. And that's kind of why I preferred using Tower a lot, because I was managing lots and lots of projects. And you can kind of visually see a little bit better as far as the branches. So like for folks who are watching, these are the remote branches. That's currently what's on the server. So whenever you do a push to a server, you actually have a couple concepts. The first concept is like locally on your machine. So Git can keep track of whatever is locally happening. You don't have to be connected to the internet. So you can have this tracking. And then eventually you could then push that up to a server. And this is what they call like the remote. And this is kind of, see how it kind of mirrors this here. And so when you haven't pushed anything up, you'll see like these little numbers that are kind of waiting for you to kind of say, hey, you're ready to push it up whenever you're ready. Because you don't ever want to be in a situation where like you have all this code you've checked into your machine, you're getting on a plane, and then like all of a sudden your laptop gets lost. And you're like, I forgot it on the plane. They haven't recovered it, or someone stole it. You typically, like for any types of events like that, you want to push it to a server so the copy is there, and then you can pull it down later on. And so that's just kind of like the high level concept there. And I feel like Tomas said, it's like, it doesn't have to be so scary with all the fancy feature stuff, but like a lot of my hygiene right now that I've been doing for AI coding has just been, I start a feature branch and I name it whatever feature I'm going to work on. And in there, I describe whatever changes I want to do. And as you can see, like as every conversation that I have with the agent, I'm pretty much checking in as I go. So as it's checking the various things in, it just kind of, for me, this was my way of stacking. And then it was just my way to kind of snap back. And I do this very frequently, but you can see sometimes I go multiple turns with an agent, and like even just scrolling through this, it's like, yeah, it looks good to me. Like I know I should be doing better. You know what I mean? Like 231 editions was 179. Like this is a pretty big refactor here, right? There's a lot going on. This could have been stacked, and it would have just been easier for me to review, because there's like to review it in one scrolling type of thing. I want to break this down into different functions, into different concerns. And this is kind of where we're approaching this newer age of things. And this is kind of why I'm really excited to speak with Graphite and have Tomas here and kind of answer our questions here live, because this is what people are currently talking about right now. People are saying like there's too much slop or anything, but it's really like we are, as developers, are in control of our destiny. And while the code is generated, just like other teammates, the review process is pretty important too. So, getting your feet wet on that and then kind of moving into the Graphite thing is really interesting. Also, a huge shout out to Jack, who like is here on a Saturday, messaged his IT team and is like, we need to get on Graphite for our 70. Yo, hit him up.
Yo, Jack, if you need any help with that, by the way, DM me on Twitter and I'll help get you whatever you need to get it set up.
That's cool. That's amazing. So can it analyze my code base to make sure that a PR I am making aligns with the functionality of my code base?
100%. You just turn it on, you start creating PRs with Graphite, and that's what I was saying, the AI before. You can both chat with it, but it'll also go ahead and like proactively call out when it's like, oh, I don't know, this is a bug, or you say that this does X, but this does Y. All of that's possible.
Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking for like my code base, because of what I'm working on right now with like adding a feature. For those who aren't familiar, I'm making this app called Anime Leak. And what it does is like you can upload a photo of anything. I uploaded my thumbnail, and it just kind of does this really cool like, anime leaking type of thing. And so here's my friends, Lee and Ann, and they're eating some Mexican food, and it's kind of like you have an artist kind of starting to leak some anime into your photographs. So it's kind of like a really fun idea. Like it'll choose an image, and this is using the Nano Banana model. But the problem is whenever I toggle on the feature in public gallery, it's great, and anyone can now feature their own images. And so I kind of want to have some moderation for that. And so I made this like giant feature to like idea and spec to have this kind of listed here. So these are people who've currently have featured images, and you can kind of see it's like random, right? So maybe I don't want some of these images up there. And so what I would like to do is just to have some type of control or something to gate that. And so I basically have just kind of told the factory to kind of build me a plan for this. And the way that I did it was that, I had to build this little spec for me. I have a video for those who are curious. I just released it yesterday on how I actually generated the spec and plan. You can go watch it. It's only 5 minutes. It's really great. It's just a couple of prompts for you to get started. And so it basically teaches you of like how to get the data, how the data model actually works in your app, and then how you can add features on top of that. And then the next command I think that was really interesting was having, in this case, it's Claude Sonnet, but I'm using the Droid underneath it. And I basically wanted a way for it to kind of chunk out some of these changes once it learned a little bit more about, what this whole concept is with stacking. So I had to research some stuff, obviously, there. And then in the next phase here, I'm going to try to get to the point. I'm going to land it. So I just said, how would this look like, this whole spec, if we were to implement it in a stacked diff plan? So I want you to kind of break it apart into these different steps, so that way we can kind of land these changes accordingly. And so this is kind of what it came back with. And it kind of said, hey, this is how we would do this type of thing. And then like 1 through 7. And then it even has like a critical change behavior here, so that all along the way. And so what's nice about this workflow, and this is kind of why I want to continue to do this and all throughout the weekend. So tomorrow I'm going to go live as well. And we're going to be kind of trying out this exercise. And if you haven't had a chance to try it out, there's that QR code below. You can kind of sign up to get started. Just go ahead and scan that. That's rfer.me/graphite. And you can get to download it. It's like there's no credit card required. It's a 30-day trial, but if you use the code STACKWITHRAY down below, you're going to get an additional month of the team's account. So that's all the AI stuff that Tomas was talking about and showing you, like pretty much a full reign of the whole app, like all the repos and all the different things. Because we're going to be using this for a little while together. And I think this type of thing is going to help make me like land my changes and actually force me to be a better reviewer without a lot of the extra headache that normally would happen. And I always like platforms like this that include a lot of this like well thought out types of things. So it's not like just a code review platform. It's not just AI reviews or anything like that. It's the entire like suite life cycle, and you can kind of see this evolving. And so a little bit of background, can you guys tell me about like some of the clients that you guys are working with? Or like, I think it's like everyone we know across the board, right? In the Valley, right?
Yeah, I think the joke I like to tell my friends is like, if you can name a tech company, you might actually they're probably a user. Some of the ones which I love to call out as our users: Datadog, Ramp, Shopify, Snowflake, Duolingo, Figma. There's a lot of companies here that love to use Graphite. I love this animation. It's one of my favorite ones. Our design engineering team works super hard on that. We have like a whole like neon light kind of effect going on our website. And so it's been super cool. But yeah, a lot of people that we support. It's very fun getting to build with Graphite.
That's amazing. Yeah, like everyone is using this at these big companies, and there's a reason behind it. And maybe we can kind of go into that a little bit, because you used to work at Meta, and stacked diffs were like a really big deal. And there's a lot of different infrastructure that was evolved in the dev tooling. And we'd just kind of love to hear a little bit about kind of how that came about. And then like, why did you guys kind of settle on this type of thing, and kind of where are things kind of going that you feel? Yes.
Yeah, 100%. So the story of Graphite's hilarious to me, because we never started a code review company. That's what I'll tell you. We started actually a totally different company. I hired some of my old teammates from Meta. It was Facebook back then. And we really started to miss our old code review tooling. I think a lot of us had gotten really used to like the magic inside these companies. And I think one of the things that we forget is like, I think GitHub's awesome, but I think that GitHub hasn't really changed a ton of the stuff when it comes to code review in quite some time. We really, really wanted a lot of it. Eventually, after like 6 months, at the start, we were like, oh, we must be like super weird. Like everyone else in the world uses this. Like, this is the way to do things. What do we know? And after about 6 months, we were like, nah, like I really feel like in my soul, like I think we'd be faster if we had some of these tools. And so we actually took some time. We built it as an internal. Graphite was originally an internal tool. Back then, it was called Pancake because Pancake stack. If you ever look at like our community or our merch store or anything like that, there's a lot of Pancake emojis everywhere because of this. But we built it, and then what started to happen was a lot of our old coworkers, they'd leave Meta, they'd go to somewhere else, and they'd be like, hey, like, how are you guys like dealing with code review out here? Like a lot of the things we got used to, having this inbox, having stacking, better notifications. I think like GitHub notifications are like the worst thing in the world if you've ever tried to collaborate with someone. It's super real, right? And we'd be like, well, like we built a lot of tooling around it, so like you can build it too. And they would start to be like, well, I don't want to build that tooling. Can I use your tooling? And we're like, nah, we do something else entirely. And we kind of kept hearing that more and more and more and more. And it was crazy. This other company at the time, we were like doing like B2B SaaS enterprise sales, and like we were going to people and being like, you need this. And at the same time, we had these phenomenal companies. A lot of the logos I just showed you have been there since day one, and huge shout out to our early adopters here, who were like, no, like we really want this. And so November of 21, we pivoted to become a code review company. I remember we had this like mad dash of 3 months where we took our internal tools and we started tearing out everything, because at the time it was like my GitHub handle hard coded into it, like our repo names hard coded into it. Everything just was built as an internal tool. I don't know what to say, right? And
wow. That's crazy. And so like I'm here at the website, says meet our customers. The website's so fire, by the way. Shopify.
By the way, incredible shout out to our design team. They are so cracked. The kinds of stuff that I've seen them develop is awesome. This one was a really fun project for us. We actually just, if you want to see my favorite page on this, in the footer, there's this careers page, and it is so good. We just released that one like today. We treat these almost like feature releases.
Oh my goodness.
And it's fun.
What? Wow.
So cool.
Bro, right? I'm like scrolling through a movie right now. Oh yeah, that's right. So you guys are based out of New York, right?
We're fully based out of New York. That picture actually 2 ago was from our earlier this year. We did a company offsite to Hawaii, which was very, very fun. But was the last time I was there, right? I want to go back one day.
Yes, soon.
So yeah.
Oh, look at this.
The design team is awesome.
Wow. So, yeah. Oh, what part of the city are you guys in?
We're in Soho.
Oh, Soho. Cool.
I think that's a view from our office window.
Yeah, looking down, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure. It kind of looks like someone got into the roof of our building. I wonder how that happened. But yeah, it's super fun.
A drone, yes, a drone.
Yeah, of course. That's how we got up there.
That's awesome.
So it's very fun getting to build.
Cool. Yeah. So for those who are curious, like as far as pricing and kind of how this turns out and kind of what we're doing here. So like, obviously you can get signed up. Start the free trial. You'll get the 1 month free. But if you use the code STACKWITHRAY, this is where, like I'm saying, you get the additional month included as well, because we're going to be coding with this for a while. And this is a really great way to kind of close out the last quarter, of the year, really. Have gone through half of 2020, right? Like 2020 to 2030, we're like 2025, we're about to close that out. And
holy crap.
For me, I always like to start my New Year's resolutions like super early, right? So like right about now. So by the time the first comes around, I've already been doing everything. I'm not giving up by the time, like the second week comes around for the beginning of the year. And so one of my resolutions really has just been to, okay, like I feel like I've gotten the vibe coding thing really just out. I'm prompting a lot, and I'm also a builder, so I like to tinker with the models. I'm trying to explore the edges. How much can they actually do? And that's how I'm learning how capable these models are and learning a lot about prompting. And the other thing that I've noticed too is just like code quality, right? So it's like the engineering heart to me is still there and it just never leaves me. It's like, God, I'm checking so much code in, I'm checking so much stuff in, and I'm just realizing the same thing maybe other people are realizing as teams scale up, right? Even though I'm a one person who's making these apps, I have these agents who are writing code like as if like there's 5 people on my team, right? Like the back end, the front end, all these different pieces of these tooling and all these things. And it's like, I actually need to be a little bit more disciplined about this way. And I'm not about to review thousands of lines of code. I think that's just the same problem everyone else has, even just in real life, in real teams. And so the Git stacking was an interesting concept that I've just recently started learning about. And, the stack diffs and trying to like break these big features apart into these other like smaller concepts so that they're easier to review. And then like Graphite kind of fell into that fold as far as like that type of stuff. And I actually, to be honest, I've also been looking for really good like code review type of agents as well, and like some good interface to handle everything. And as you can tell from the Graphite design and like the how much they focus on these types of things, this is for me like really good high quality stuff. And I'm really proud that you guys are kind of sponsoring this live stream, but also giving people the opportunity to try it out and get that additional month and to ask questions and so forth. And that you're here live too to ask any more questions you guys got. We were pretty much like holding it down.
I originally when you were like, we're going to talk for 2 hours about this, I was like, I don't know that we have 2 hours of content. We're here an hour and a half in. I feel we're still going.
Yeah, and we're still yet to kind of touch some more code and start doing some really cool stuff, or maybe kind of let my agent rip on some of this. And I think one of the things that I wanted to try to see if I can get set up too is like see if I can let the Droid do its thing, and then see if I can also work on getting this concept set up for maybe Claude Code, because I think I have to set up a Claude agent about this and kind of set up some rules files. So I should probably be able to do that, because I think, is that how you set it up, or how would you set it up on Claude Code? I'm just kind of curious.
So we, most people have rules files these days, which is great. We just released an MCP. I feel you're asking me about all the beta features, but we're deep in the AI world now. The GT MCP is great. You already have GT installed on your computer, so you already have MCP installed on your computer. And I'll go ahead and pull up in a docs link that I can send you on it. But cool. That's probably the easiest way to get working with Claude Code or Cursor, honestly, to just get it stacking.
Okay, get stacking. Let's see.
And so
GT MCP, I think.
You want to just run this command for Claude. Okay. Claude MCP add Graphite GT MCP.
Ooh, okay. Let me just drop this in the chat so everyone has this here so we can kind of follow along, because I think this is going to be a fun one to try out. All right. So terminal, and then I'm just going to open up a user terminal. So just going to add this one here. So Claude, I'm going to make this bigger too, probably so people can see it. Yeah. Let's go, mega size.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So it's always so fun when you make the terminal huge and then you get to see all of your history back then.
Yeah, like the demo mode.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right, kids. I think we got this right here. So Claude MCP add Graphite GT MCP. So this is because for those who are following and maybe wanted to get started real quick on the GT command. So the GT command is something specifically for Graphite. And to get started, there's a quick start guide that we have here under the docs. I'm going to link that here again for those who are just kind of following along now on the live stream. And so if you go ahead and click that link, if you're on the YouTube live stream, you're just going to click that link. They'll take you right to this starting point. And obviously, once you kind of set up your account and link the different things there, and you can scan the QR code. That's going to take you right to the sign up page for that link down below. So for getting started with Graphite, it's pretty much... there's an overview here, and we wanted to do the CLI quick start or install the CLI. And so to install the CLI, you just basically do the brew command if you have brew even on Linux, or if you want to do npm, you can kind of choose one of those two as well. And then the way that you verify it's installed, you just run gt-s version. So we can do gt-s. If I could type version. Okay,
there you go.
So that's my version. And then so we're gonna that's how you know you have this command line installed. You can do -h for the help, and this shows you all the different commands. So this will actually tell us, like the two commands you said you need is GT create and GT.
And if you run Yeah, GT create and GT modify, and if you just run GT, it's going to give you an abbreviated version of that help. So if you just
I
go
see.
ahead and you run GT
GT.
without anything, there you go.
Oh,
A
cool.
little bit about the core workflow, some docs
Oh,
for you to have, cheat
nice.
sheet. It's fun,
Oh, wow.
right?
Okay. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, even has the YouTube videos. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
we're
awesome.
here to help. We'll add this one too.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I like that. And then flag commands. And then, so yeah, to basically get set up, once you have the GT command installed, you just open up the CLI. It's going to say create a new auth token. And then you just basically paste this in and you're pretty much ready to go from then on forward. And so what that means is now Claude Code or any type of CLI has access to this whole command chain. And so that's going to be really important from here on forward, because then that's what's going to be referenced for the AI agents. And what's nice about Git commands and command line in general is that that's where these agents like, Claude Code, Codex, Droid, we can just teach them a little bit about how this works, and then they're just going to be off to the races and understand this whole concept. Wow, that's cool. So to install this MCP, we can do Claude MCP add Graphite MCP. So we're going to do that, and it should cook. Okay, so added that in. Cool. So if I do Claude and then go into here.
Yeah. And if you want to ask it, like, am I in a stack? What is a stack, etc.? It now has all of the context here.
Wow.
So if you do that,
seasoning. I am cooking, my friend. I am so cooking.
I think it's so good.
I am so cooking right now. This is wild.
It's asking if you want to set it up.
It's
just run a command.
Yes.
And you can just say yes, and it's going to run the
GT.
It's basically just
the MCP call.
All the GT MCP is, which is we're improving this over time, but our sort of like V0 here, which was great, was we just gave it a tool to run GT, the command line tool, and a bunch of context around how to use it. So everything that we just did on this live stream, we did the LLM version of that, all markdown. And now it knows what it needs to run.
Oh, I see. Let me just kind of fix this here. Cool. Yeah. So by installing the MCP in Claude Code, and then just from here on forward, it already kind of knows about it because it's already in there. All branches are properly stacked and none need restacking. This appears to be an add and review feature. So it even kind of knows where I'm at in the middle of this whole thing into logical pieces.
Yep. You can even ask it, like, what is a stack, or how should I stack? And so I know that this can be like super, I know it can be super scary to get started with a new Git workflow. But one of the things that we found is that having this guy here who now has all of the context around stacking is super helpful.
Wow. I love this, by the way.
Great.
Huh. So what's the token limit / context window for the AI review? That's a really good question.
Good question. We just changed it. I want to say that we review up to 100,000 lines, which is a lot of changes. After that, we bail. After that, like, if you have a change that's more than that, our take is like, this is probably a refactor and doesn't need AI review.
Got it. Will the AI review each part of the stack, like the PR for each? Okay.
So that's per PR. Okay. That's also part of our thing is, like, if you have PRs which are huge, like, you should break it up. Got
it. Yeah. So don't be creating one PR into the stack of like many, just like actually to stack them, right? That's the whole point of stacking, so that you can actually break it apart. Yeah. Okay. Will it be supported in Droid, the MCP?
I think so. We haven't tested it. Honestly, I just not personally a factory user, but I think it should be. It's a normal MCP. I'm really curious what Claude Code is doing, by the way, right here.
It's pouncing.
Really of course.
Yes. It's like, I have such a large code base. It's like still pouncing. It's actually not that large. It's only like 100K. Yeah. What's the command to see everything? Is it Control R or something? Or what is it?
I don't remember.
There is a command. Is it?
It's stuck on token, so I kind of think it's just prompts.
Okay. Shift O, Control O. Okay. I believe, okay, so let's see.
Escape to interrupt, maybe?
Yeah, escaped. Okay. Let me cook. No. Okay. Oh, where am I in my stack plan, and what are we working on? So this is basically I'm popping Claude Code into the middle of this whole thing I was working on in Droid. So I use this in Droid by telling it about this feature, called, I have Graphite. I told it I have the GT command installed. I want you, I told Droid to go look up what that is on the web, and then to go ahead and chunk out my spec into these different plans and so forth. So the way that I used it in Droid was just to tell it about the concept of this Graphite thing. And then that's how I was able to pull that information before. And then like with the, so I guess kind of rewinding back for those who are kind of following along at home, if you're using the Droid, obviously generate your spec first. And if you like the spec and it looks pretty good, the next question you want to do is introduce the concept of Graphite or GT. And you can say, hey, I want to create a stack with this. Can you go look up the Graphite documents? I already have the GT command installed, and I want to break this apart so that's going to be stacked PRs. And so it's going to go figure that out and then start to create this new plan. And then you can just tell it to go, and then you can start to see it check in the changes and use the command line interface for that. I noticed that when I was going through the results with Tomas earlier today, was that once it does some of the initialization, it continues to prefer Git. And that's something that I'm kind of working on in terms of like figuring out what that is. But Tomas has a lot of experience using it in, I think, Claude Code. So it's like, that's where with the MCP, and it tends to stay a little bit more on track that way. And it's not that one or the other, but we should be able to get this. If we can install the MCP in Claude Code, we should be able to get it installed into other places as well.
Totally. And our team does a ton of cursor in Claude Code, and so both of those work great here.
Okay, so it's the current position. So this is cool. So basically what it did is like, I was in the middle of something like this, which is kind of nice because I didn't want to give it back the context of what's been happening. So it actually read what was active for my features and what I was working on. So it actually found the file called the admin review workflow stack plan. So I had it generate this stack plan for those who are kind of following along. And let me see if I can kind of find it here so I can show you. Let's see, Command P admin review stack plan. Okay. So this was like the stack plan that was initially created by the Droid. And this is kind of pointing to the various areas. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for y'all can read. And so I should probably install my cursor update, but there's like a lot of different things. So stack 1, stack 2 has a query. And then, so it's kind of going to testing to make sure that we should have no TypeScript errors. And then we're in the middle of the stack. There's a pretty critical one about like updating some of the stuff in the database. So this is the modify feature toggle. This is the one where it's going to replace a bunch of stuff here. And then this is the place that we basically have stopped. So we still have some more parts of the stack. And I'm just curious to see how Claude Code is just going to pick this up and kind of get going with this. Let's see, that's factory. And let me go back to Claude Code. So Claude Code found that file, which I was showing you guys here. And then here's the branch. And it's currently showing us in the current stack. We're here, modifying how users request features. So this is what's required now. And our changes are complete and ready to commit. And so this is the remaining stacks we have to go. So since stacks 4 is complete, this is the next step that it needs to do. And I want to show you what was going on in factory so you can kind of have a clue of what was going on here. So in factory, this is actually where it stopped. It says, I told it, because I don't want to YOLO dangerously run everything, because I tend to want to be a little bit more in control. And the reason why it stopped is because of a high impact change. And that's kind of why here. So this is interesting. So basically I started in factory Droid. I can just pick up here in Claude Code now. I'm just going to let it continue doing these things. So like, would you like me to commit stack 4 and stack 5? Yes. Yes. Go.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah.
I love working with AI, by the way. It's so cool that you can just talk to these things in like natural language.
Yes. Yeah. And communicate your ideas. And
yeah,
it's wow. Okay. Oh, this is right. This is like the latest Claude Code CLI changes. So now it has these newer,
I haven't updated yet because I'm scared of it. In the middle of the week, well, it's just like you're always working on things, and you're like, it's like I don't update my iPhone the day of either.
Oh, like, wow. Yeah, you're gonna be in for a treat. Actually, on the iPhone, it's really good. The UI and stuff. Yeah. I really like it. I kind of waited because I want. Yeah, I think you basically escaped a lot of the good bugs, if you know what I mean, because there's some pretty gnarly bugs for like battery stuff at the beginnings. When people were talking about the first developer builds, it was kind of like pretty crazy. So now it's kind of doing its thing. So one of my co-founders.
Oh, here it goes. It's running. What I was gonna say was one of my co-founders. He is on like the iPhone like beta every time it comes out. Like he just goes for it, and the bugs I see are hilarious. But
Wow.
it's not for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who don't know, I used to work at this fruit company in the Valley, folks. So it was kind of fun to be able to install the builds every day. And you talk about crazy churn and stuff. What was nice there though is that I had access to the source code. So if I literally wanted to roll back a project, I could just grab the source code, rebuild it, and then either install it as a root on my phone or push off like a side build or something and help people out to get things and stuff. In fact, that was kind of like one of my roles there for a while too, was like to work on the build quality, which is a lot of changes keep coming into the projects. As soon as the build comes out, something can break. But when you're working on these really like large architectures like this, like you'll have the code work, but it doesn't work on a specific version of a phone or something like that. And you're just like, well, like anyone who has that or who's developing on that is currently blocked. And, if you add up all the engineers, that's a lot of hours and that's a lot of money. And so, coming up with some processes and things to, either like get people unstuck was, pretty important, early on. But, when you're like I'm curious to hear about your background with Meta, because like, that's a like massive repo. And like, how did they like come across this concept of like figuring this out for, eventually getting to what they're doing? Because there's like many steps along the way. And I feel like, man, there's like, all these moving pieces and stuff. And you got to work right in the middle of it. Did you get like started right there immediately, or what was kind of,
Well, no, it was someone on my team. I think that Meta is really interesting in that like you have some people who really love the concept, but you also have so many people joining the company regularly that it's not everyone uses it. And so usually what happens is after you're there for a little bit of time, someone will be like, yo, have you tried stacking yet? And you're like, no, like I don't know what that is. Never heard of that. I've been a programmer for a second, but like that's new. And then and then like you learn it, and then one of the jokes on our team is once you stack, you can never go back. Like it really is like once you start doing it, you're just like you lose tolerance for like the old way of coding, right? Which is like, I made a change, I'm gonna wait, and that's horrible. I never want to have to wait on one of my coworkers. I want to just be able to like keep working all the time. The like funny. Long answer of how Meta found it. It's actually really goes. I mean, I haven't tracked it that far back. The earliest that we can find it is actually in Linux patches. So the way that Linux, like the operating system, does code review, for those that don't know, is they started by just like emailing back and forth Git patches of like, hey, here are some changes, like here's what I want to do. And there was this habit that would happen where like someone would email a change and then they would start a thread. They'd be like, I want to make this change, and then I want to make that change, and then I want to make that change. And so like that's the earliest version of like a stack I can find, which is like many subsequent changes. But I'm sure that if you were to like dig deeper, you can find out. Code review, actually, it's a crazy topic. We have a blog post on this. One of my co-founders did a lot of research on. Code review like comes back from like the 1950s or 70s. It was an old IBM practice where they started doing it.
Whoa. That makes sense, though. Crazy. A lot of these AI concepts and things from computing back then are like, they just didn't have the power. They had the ideas. Yeah. They're like, if this concept is true, then let's kind of keep going down this really logical route.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just
but the history though of source control is fascinating. It was made by at IBM. They were called Fagan reviews for a while because there was this tech lead. I don't remember his first name, and I apologize. But the whole idea was he would make all of his engineers like print out their code, and he'd like proofread it the way you like proofread an essay. And they found that like team had fewer bugs than anyone else, and so they then started doing Fagan reviews across the whole company. Fagan reviews eventually just became code reviews. You kind of dropped that, and then it started happening over email, right? Because printing was just like a huge waste of paper. It was like we can just email code back and forth. That was the habit. And then when Git was invented, the first online version of code review, like with a dedicated like panel for it, came from Google. It was actually, this is like a crazy piece of lore. The person who first made it, it was called Mondrian, and it was I want to say the like intern project for Guido van Rossum, the guy who made Python. And it was, the whole idea was like they were using Gmail for code review. And it was, or at least from what we can tell online, like I'm sure there's much better lore, and maybe he'll watch this and be like, this is all wrong. But from what we can tell online, it was they were using Gmail for code review, and they're like, like we're sending all this code back and forth. Like there should be a better UI to like visualize the code. And that's what then led to like eventually GitHub adopted it in like early 2010s. And then since then it's been a thing.
Whoa, that is
crazy lore.
I love it. Well, I have some more lore because I feel like, and I can't confirm it, I've heard this from several people, that there was a point in time at Apple that one of the senior VPs would literally review code, like print it out, like literally just like that. And then there was another VP that would literally, like as like a bug review process, because to show what's going to be actually changed and going into the OS, they have to do the approvals. They would actually open up the PR and like literally read it, like right there, right in front of everyone in the bug review board. And so, you're having like thousands of changes with all these developers. And I think probably the teams were a lot smaller when they were running the Mac teams and stuff like that. And, maybe have 20 engineers, even then, just trying to go review it. Everyone's crunched for time. And the VP is like in the meeting, just reading the PR and like, drilling down on the guys, like, what is this? Like, how come you're checking this in? What impact do you have? Like, what's it going to cause here? Like, and, there are so many stories that, you can imagine, that adding a log file, will actually, like if you actually remove this log file, it may break a build in production. And that, you have to maybe make a trade-off that like, should we just keep the log file in? Is it actually risky? Or is it like, if we remove the log file, it's actually going to break the production builds, and to actually fix it is going to take longer. Do we have enough time for this life to introduce that, change? And it's much riskier. And so it's like, when you start to get into the nitty gritty of these little details of code review and like the impact, it's really large, and it may look innocent. And I think it's really interesting. I'm curious your background. How well have these AI agents done in terms of understanding something like that, right? Like if you don't know the code, if you just look, oh, it's just one line, it looks innocent. Are they able to discern like the details like that really deep in the code and your context? Are you guys doing anything extra at Graphite to maybe tailor that in, or fine tuning, or like what's kind of, can you spill any of the beans? I'm kind of curious. Yeah.
It's a great question. One of the things that we found, so the way that Graphite sort of starts to review code, so first of all, it has context over the whole code base. It has a bunch of like company context. You can go ahead and connect it to different things, or even provide it with like rules. So it can go ahead and understand like your style guide or how you want to write code. The way that we do it is nuts, actually. We have a bunch of different what we call pipelines that generate potential comments, and then which choose to either post them or not. So you can imagine some kind of, one of our pipelines, for example, is like, okay, summarize what this PR does. Great. Then like taking away that PR, just give it like a different like LLM, imagine like Claude Code, like how do you implement this? And then it generates a plan. And then you ask a third LLM, like, cool, what's the difference between these implementations? And like, is one like definitively better or not? And then by walking it through the reasoning steps there, we can actually start to distill some of what we'll call like industry standard best practice on how to do code review, where like part of code review is like looking for bugs, but I actually don't think that's like, I don't even think that's the core part. I think the most important part of code review is like teaching other people how the thing works. And maybe the thing after that is making sure that you're doing things consistently.
Wow. You did a talk recently at the AI Engineer event, I think maybe a couple of months ago, and you have this really cool slide where you have this breakdown. I don't know if you still have that. I'd love to see it if you can pull that up easily. If not,
God. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, but basically it was just kind of what LLMs can actually understand in a scale of things, and then what do humans actually understand as well and find useful, because sometimes we're a little overly critical if it's coming from an LLM, as far as what they review is kind of the concept that I got of that. But then as if you hand the code to another person, you're seeing that person every day. So you kind of have to have this like political relationship with someone else that you may not have with an LLM. And I think it was interesting how you guys, I feel like there's a deeper methodology for your approach. You're just not just like, I'm just going to make a wrapper around this and kind of walk away. It's like it's a discipline, and it's a discipline beyond like that. It requires an immense amount of detail. But I'm also super impressed with the frame of thinking here. And maybe you can draw one out or something like that if it's easier or something like that.
I'm seeing if I can find it because I had it. I'll see if I can find it. If not there, it might.
Oh,
Well, I'll draw it on Excalidraw. That might be the easiest way to do this.
Yeah.
Where the way we think around it, and I'll see if I can find the talk, and I'll send it over if I can. The way we think around sort of like code review when we first did this, and this is now getting into the AI code review thing. 1 second, sharing everything, beautiful. Sweet. Okay, so we have this. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. The way we think around it is we actually kind of, when we first started to do code review, we realized that there were a lot of things that the LLM just straight up couldn't do, and so we talked around this as like, okay, we think around it as sort of like a 4x4. There's like LLM can identify, and LLM can't identify. LLM can't. And so examples of things that an LLM can identify are things like, hey, you say that you're going to do X, so this comment says that it's going to do X, but the code actually does Y, right? And you're like, hold on, like, I actually really want you to call that out for me. That's wrong. Or one of the ones which we saw recently was you just called it out, right? Of like, hey, there's a security hazard here, like you should fix it, right? Places where we get comments that LLMs can't identify are, trying to think around it, like, hey, this is actually not how we do this at this company because we have some like tribal knowledge and we prefer to do it this way as opposed to that way. Cool, right? Like the LLM without a lot more context isn't going to be able to pull that out. But even with the like can identify and can't identify, we started to see some like we started to see a second difference, which is humans want it versus humans don't want to get this from an LLM. And the like intuition pump for me there was humans want to get from LLM, humans don't. And the LLM, the intuition for us was we went through the past like 2,000 comments that were left within our own repos. I don't remember how many, maybe it was 100,000 at some point. We like did progressively larger versions of this experiment, and we started to manually label them. And we started to be like, okay, like this is a thing that an LM did identify or didn't, and then we started to sort of build the pipeline to do it. But we started to get this class of feedback that was technically accurate, but humans didn't want. So an example of this is like, hey, you should like add a comment to this function. Hey, you should add a test for this. Hey, you should extract this. You should add a type to it. You should extract this type out into something else. I also love TypeScript. The whole company's written TypeScript. And so for us, that was like a tough one because the LM was technically correct, right? Up until that point, we were just focused on correctness. But it was pedantic, like I think, Ray, if I'm the way I now describe it to people is like, if I tell you, Ray, like, hey, man, you should probably tie your shoes, right? You have made the assumption that I know something you don't. And I'm like, your shoes are untied, you should tie it. What would be really annoying is if I were to just be like, I can't see your shoes right now. If I was just like, you should tie your shoes right now, man, right? And you're like, they are tied, right? Like, I don't understand why you're telling me this.
Bro, I'm in Hawaii. I wear slippers.
Yeah, I'll see. I know, right? Like, this is the, like, while it is technically correct, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Right? The same idea is if I'm like, hey, you should make sure your stove's off. Like, that is always a correct statement. But if I'm just saying that without like knowledge of why you want it, you're kind of like, this is super annoying. And so one of the things that we start to realize, this is where I describe the difference between us and Claude Code and Bugbot, is we start to realize like what humans really want from the LLMs is they want to know, well, two things. So first of all, sometimes I'll stop sharing my screen and just talk for a second about it. But sometimes they want to hear around things which are definitively wrong and which are like logic errors. That's great. For things that are more related to style or to preference, we'll call it, they don't want to hear about it unless the human has told the bot has previously told the bot, like, remind me of this kind of stuff, right? So if some companies, for example, they want to be like, oh, every new endpoint should have a test, right? And in that case, if the LM tells that to you, you're like, okay, cool, I get it, right? Like, this is a thing that we always want to remind people of. It's whatever. If the LM were to just tell you that, without you telling it, you'd kind of be like, who are you? Like, this is kind of arrogant that it's just assuming that I want this. And so we've had to develop it that way.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love kind of nerding out on some of these things because we're right now on the forefront of these LLMs and people are trying to plug them into these different spaces. And sometimes when you plug them in, it works, but you don't know why. And I'm curious just a little bit more of like, how did you get a little bit deeper on the questioning? Because I feel like that type of insight in terms of that separation, it makes a lot of sense. It's very clear now. But for me, every time I start my thinking, it's always really scattered because there's too much noise.
Oh, super duper scattered. So like correctness was kind of just like, was obvious, right? No developer wants incorrect comments. That one was just straightforward of like, if it's hallucinating, like we had some examples where the LLM would say shit like, you should change this code to do X, but it already did X, right? And you'd be like,
you're absolutely right.
Right? Like, yeah, you're absolutely right, but why? And so that was easy enough to filter out. Then what we started to do was we are, at Graphite, we dog food super extensively. I was just showing you the employee toggle earlier in the stream, right? Of like how much of all those like secret employee features we have both for debugging, but we also have a lot of beta stuff in there. And we are big believers in basically releasing features super incrementally. So like we always release to our team first, then we release to, we have like a few specific individuals and companies we work with. That's like our beta cohort. If anyone ever wants to be added to that, feel free to let me know. I'll say like, sometimes it's great because you get some really cool new like toys to play with. Sometimes it sucks because things will break on you, but that's why we have it. And then we really work with that and we like refine it to the point where we can get it out to everyone. For the LLM, for a reviewer, it took us quite some time to like really dial it in. Where what we feel is like for the start, we had like released it and we'd ask our team like weekly, like, how do you feel about it? You know, and they'd be like, it's kind of annoying, you know, and you're like, why is it annoying, right? And they'd be like, well, it gave me these comments. And we'd like take it back and be like, well, the comment is technically correct, right? But it's, it reminds me, I once had like a friend who used to do this bit, which I thought was funny, where he's like, well, actually, and he would say something that's like technically correct but pedantic, and that's what I felt that LLM was doing a lot of the time, right? As you start to like see it, you're like, it's well actually me, you know, of like, yeah, it's making a technically correct point, but I don't want to hear from it. And so then it was then my question is, maybe this is somewhat common like ML, it was just a question of scale, right? It's how can we get more and more of this? And once you get like 500 of these comments, then seeing patterns starts to become real obvious. Because you start to look at it and you're like, oh, this is what people are actually going for. And that let us start to like cut it down.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, for those who are just tuning in, we are speaking with Tomas, Git master, super passionate over, you know, like dev tooling and making sure that the experience is really well. And they are the proud sponsors of this live stream, and they're doing a phenomenal job with their platform. And I'm so happy to just be able to feature them here on our stream. And not only that, as users, if you're joining today, there's a link below to get signed up. When you sign up, you're going to get access to the team plan for the normal 30 days. But I have a coupon code down there below. So if you type that in, so STACKWITHRAY, once you sign up for the free trial, you can get started, no credit card required. That'll get you an additional month of this team plan. And for you and I, we're going to start coding live on this, and I'm going to be using this type of workflow. And part of the motivation for me is that I've been wanting to improve my workflow. And I always look to what are some of the best people, what are some of the most like, what's everyone that I look up to are doing, even like in the bigger companies, but also like at a smaller scale too. And as AI is coming into this type of new age of things, Graphite is in so many of these big companies, like probably all of your favorite companies that we know. I think Shopify, Ramp. Is Cursor also on the list as well?
There's a lot more that we can't name.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. So no, I mean, not. It's not no. It's not yes. I mean, it's maybe not.
I played the fifth.
Yeah, I played the fifth. Okay, yeah. You got Vercel, you got Datadog, you got a whole bunch of people who don't want to be featured on here as well. And there is a reason for that. And they have like a lot of different features from the CLI that we've been exclusively talking about, which offers a lot of this feature called like stacking. And towards the beginning of this, we kind of went into that. And it's a workflow, especially if you're working with a bunch of teams of developers. And if you're maybe thinking at this point, this is a good time to rethink your tooling, this is probably like a really good idea to kind of explore this conversation and start doing that type of thing. Not only do you get the free trial, but using that code with, STACKWITHRAY, you're going to get the additional month. Get some team members on. Y'all start using it. Maybe you work on a side project or something like that. And then you can test out all the AI code features and stuff like that, which is really, really cool. So it's always really fun to get people get trying this thing because, yeah, those unlimited AI reviews are going to be there. You get the automations, the merge queue, all that stuff. And you can kind of think of this as like an advanced way to view like what GitHub should have that's currently missing. But then these people just keep pushing it to the next level. So not only you have the AI reviews, the merge queue, the agents, there's a lot of different resources and guides here. And so, to get started, all you have to do is just go ahead and install the command line, just a couple of these types of commands there to get started there. And once you get that going, you can then tell your Claude Code to go ahead and start, saying, hey, this is the GT thing. I'm using this from Graphite. Start, I have my plan. I want to start making some stacked PRs with this. And how would you go about organizing that? And so once you start doing that, that's how you get going. There's also a plugin, which we just found out recently, that you can install in VS Code, but also in Cursor. And so this is going to make it a little bit easier if you're not into the command line interface stuff, so that you can kind of click through as well. They also have it for Git Tower, which you see me use a lot, and we're going to be using it as well. And so you can, once you get this set up, there's a little workflow feature at the very top. And then this is where you can do the branching and everything like that. So if you're just wanting to kind of monitor what your AI agents are doing, this is probably like a good way to see that. And as you can see with some of these changes that come in, you can click one of these types of things. And this is kind of the joy of why you want to do the stacking, because now I have the schema that's in a specific change. I can review what's being implemented from that. And in a lot of ways, just having the agent kind of narrow its focus as well and actually really focus on that part of the plan, it'll actually give you a better quality output, not only for yourself to review, but for everyone else. And this is kind of like us kind of getting started with this, and having Tomas on was been, we got to talk a lot about these types of things, and appreciate all the comments. There's a lot of questions here. So if you have some more comments, go ahead and drop them right now on the stream, because I want to go ahead and answer some of those questions and so forth. I think somebody's currently asking, what models power Graphite Agent, and why did you choose them?
Everything. So we use Gemini, we use OpenAI, we use Anthropic. We kind of test every single one. We work with the lab super closely to get access to as many models as we can. We just try them out.
Oh wow!
At this point, we do like a lot of evaluating. We've invested a lot in that framework to make it as powerful as possible, because we want to get you guys the best reviews that you can.
That's awesome. Huge shout out to Gits Max. Thank you so much for being a member and kind of joining on the stream as well. I also wanted to give a big shout out at the beginning of the stream. AE also became a member, so I definitely appreciate that. So fun to see some folks. Also Alex, who was tuning in from Europe and stuff. So that was really cool. I know Jack Martin was asking lots of questions. So it was really fun to kind of interface with Jack there as well, because there's a lot of stuff going on. For those who are watching this live stream, when it's end, it's going to turn into a video on demand, and we'll have timestamps going back to the beginning of this. And then we're going to have some clips of this live stream as well to kind of help you out as well to get that going. And I think Jack was asking about reverse apply. If you have like a big branch, can Graphite convert it into a stack branches based on the code semantic, or maybe for a future idea? Yeah.
So if you already have a stack, you might need one of two different things. So if you already have a stack, you're then at the top of the stack, you're making a bunch of edits, and you just want to push those changes down to the right branch. GT absorb is the command that does that for you automatically. And then there's a different thing that you might be asking around, which is I have one big PR and I want to turn it into a stack. Is that possible? All I'm going to say on that one is stay tuned.
Oh, stay tuned. Wow. So this is update mid-stack branches. So this little document here, it looks like it could tell us about that. GT absorb. So this is in like, I guess there's a tutorial on this too. So, okay, check out modify a GT modify. So you can also use alias for some of these commands as well. Okay. You create the commits and automatically restack the branches. Whoa. So yeah. And then you can even go up and down depending on where you are in the stack. This is really cool. Yeah, this is I would definitely say, like, for those who are getting started with Git, just get your like, there's a lot of different perspectives here, and we cover the grounds in all the places, but moving into Git as part of your workflow, especially for any type of coding, is going to help you kind of keep track of these changes. It was invented for a reason, and it's stuck around for a reason, because it's actually very useful as far as hygiene. From there, lots of opinions have formed for keeping track of things, and have like you say, once you stack, you never go back. What was something that you tried that you felt like, there's got to be a better way, before you found out about stacking?
Oh, for me, it was just the getting stuck. I remember the first day I left Facebook and I went to my co-founder Greg and I'm like, cool, I wrote this first feature. I'm having trouble, like it's waiting on you to read it. Like, how do I get started on the next thing? And he was like, you don't? And I'm like, what? Right? Like, what I just hang out here, right? Like we're trying to build a startup. Like what do I do? And that like moment of frustration is the problem it solves. It like, the difference I like to say to a lot of people is it's the feeling of going from being stuck in traffic to being on a highway. It's so much faster.
Whoa. So it does a couple of things. So that massive PR with all those changes would have been like, he's like, I got a meeting right now. I'm not going to review this PR in my meeting.
I'm not going to read it, right? I'm working on something else, dude.
I'm
right?
talking to investors. Yeah.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, I need this looked at now. And that's, anyway.
And so like stacking it is almost like, okay, so really funny idea. I made this, I call it the Tinder for code reviews. And so I'm actually going to play around with this concept because I built a simple UI that just swipes. And actually this is sort of perfect for stacking because you would just review and you're just like, yeah. And then you can just
review. It's so funny to me that you say that because it comes up literally every hackathon. So we do 4 hackathons a year and every hackathon someone builds Tinder for code review. We've never shipped it, but my guess is I've seen what you're talking about a few times.
Because now you can just use voice so quickly and then just send an agent headless to go do something, come back, and then you can preview it with Vercel because it does an auto deploy for that. Oh yeah, so this integrates right with Vercel. So every little PR that it makes will be a deployment that you can actually verify.
100%. And if you look at the Graphite UI, we'll pull those deployments up to the top bar. So we make it even easier than having to go like hunt in the comments for them.
Wow. Yeah. Oh man, this is really, really nice. Yeah. For those folks who are watching, make sure you get there's a little sign up link down below here. Stick in the QR code. Basically the URL, it's currently pinned to the live stream, but I'll just type it out here. https://rfr.me/graphite. And so if you just go ahead and click that link, that'll get you into the sign up page. And then make sure you put in that STACKWITHRAY coupon code so that way you can get that team account for 2 months for free instead of just like the 1 month. No credit card required. You can just start going right in. Used by some of the biggest companies here on the planet. And also, like I think like this is such a important tool, not only just for like the stacked gift, but just all the other different features like we're saying that we haven't even had time to cover and like that, like AI code reviews and all these other things. But I think this is something that folks are going to be hearing about more and more because now there's a new head of Git, right? For his, I'm blanking on his name right now. He used to work at Vercel, right? Yeah, for GitHub. Jared Palmer. Yeah. And so are you guys actively talking with Jared and kind of giving him some feedback to see if you can?
We would love to work with GitHub on getting stacking. It's something we've been passionate around since the beginning. And so, we're making sure that we integrate with everything that gets built.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. So I want to check up really quickly on my plan before we kind of head on out and stuff. I think it'd be kind of fun to see how things are going in my little space here because I think I was working with Claude Code. So I initially started this plan with Droid and then Droid was picking up the stacking feature. And after we did that earlier in the stream, we installed the MCP command in Claude Code just so to show you how we can get this configured once you have the GT command installed. And then Claude Code was able to get all that context pretty quickly, pick up and kind of continue with the plan, which I found really awesome. And so now it's going to check in this change. And so we're going to say, go ahead and proceed to check in that change. And so it's going to continue working through checking in the change because the changes were already made with factory. And now we're continuing on with Claude Code here in terms of like, okay, now it's going to create stack number 5 and, do that next thing and then continue with the changes for the rest of my app. So that to me, I think this is going to be interesting for me because sometimes I'll have these big features and if I do a run overnight, it'd be like, what I like about this whole plan is like, I could do something overnight, have the agents go do the things and I don't have to like, if one specific area just needs to change or some backend thing, I feel like I can easily manage this because visually I can see like the way that it breaks apart the stack and everything. It's breaking it apart into this is all my backend stuff. So the schema, the queries, the mutations, and this is actually perfect because I use Convex for the backend and they actually have these concepts. So it's actually kind of pushing the changes specifically for like those, like in the admin things, anything that I would do a query, right? That's going to affect the front end. I'm probably going to be doing this type of stuff. And any mutation stuff, anything that's going to write to the database is now a specific part of a PR. And so it's like, okay, cool. So like this is where I'm going to monitor the data flow. That's going to come in. It's going to write to the database. This is like probably really critical. I should really review what's happening in here. And there's only a couple of functions. And what my favorite part about TypeScript, it's like it sounds like an ad too. Like, but like everything's in TypeScript, right? With convex, and it's just like okay, there's a function. There's some type of data thing coming in. What am I returning? What else is going to happen here? What are we sending it in? So an image ID, and a reason. Okay, cool. What else are we going to do here? There's an image, like the error not found. Is it featured? Cool. We're going to error out. And then like we're going to set it for false. We're going to remove the flag and, clear the approval fields as well. So this is I think reject the pending featured image admin only. So this is cool. It's like, all right. Like, and it's for me, it's easier to follow chunk by chunk. And it almost like you say, like tells a story through Git and through the command line. And I think to me, I wouldn't be surprised if more of these agents start picking up this type of workflow in the future, because it kind of really helps them condense their context too, right? In just one, like just on the command line, right? If I hit GT log, right? Short. So like this alone, short. Yeah. GT log short will just tell me the current stuff that's open as far as like this stack. And if you can just read it, you can kind of tell what you're working on. It's like admin review, and like one of them's modified feature toggle mutations. So that already gives quite a bit of context to the agent as far as what's going on. And then like if you do Q to quit it, I think it's GT log will just give us the full thing. So yeah, this is the current thing I'm working on. So this gives us a little bit more of like in each of these types of things, what has been happening. And for context, giving that type of context to an AI agent, it's like, okay, I'm working on this big feature. All of these are related. I can see its relationships. And it's really good at text parsing. And so I'm kind of shocked that the agents haven't picked up on this yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're starting to train on this type of workflow and in the future kind of start to incorporate it, because we're already seeing some other sweet workflows up here in Claude Code and these other AI agents and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
That's cool. Yeah. Let's see if some folks have some more questions here before. So what's coming next in Graphite? Anything you can share?
Better integrations with agents. I think we like fully integrate without giving away too much. I think we fully agree with you, Ray, that like I think this is a really, really good workflow if you're working with agents, because code review is like reviewing code is fundamentally human, but agents can work so much faster, right? I think one of the things that I think around is like, what if I could go to sleep and then wake up to like a stack of 20 PRs that were easy to just like understand and interpret that the agent had worked all night on? I think that's super cool. And I think then there's a question of, okay, how do we help make that clear? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that's going. Super stoked around that.
That's cool. Yeah, that's super exciting. Yo, what's going on? Different folks tuning in from different places. We got some folks from YouTube. We also got some folks from Twitch as well. Hello to everyone. And as of now, we're basically running the stacking request here with the GT tool. And let's see what's going on now. So it's now doing Claude Code. I guess when it's doing a tool call, it's calling out to Graphite and it's trying to figure out how to use this command. Right? That's cool. Okay, so do you want? Nice. So this is just a request to get some information. Is it not, or is it not? Is it running the command?
It's going to run the command. I think it needs your request to use the tool.
Oh, okay, cool. GT command.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is going to run this, which is going to create. Oh, it's going to create the fifth. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Cool. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Late to the live, catching up. You got a lot of catching up to do, man. We're about to kind of close down the live and anything. But for anyone who hasn't get signed up, go ahead and get started. There's a link down below, rfer.me/graphite to get you started. And so, Bridgemine AI. Hey, what's up, man? Tomas, just followed your ex. Keep it up, Ray. Always on point with the streams. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, Bridgemine is actually vibe coding. He's actually vibe coding his app to $1 million, and I think he's already made $1,000 so far. And if you want to go follow his journey, he's a really cool guy. Go ahead and check him out. Yeah. Really cool thing. So yeah, so now we're basically watching the agent work, and it's going to now run some of the, let's see. Now I'll update the image model component in the fields in the UI indicators. Okay, so it's already created the stack. Now we're going to actually do the code change. I'm going to just go ahead and go. let it rip. So now it's adding the clock. It's everything that kind of I've already reviewed over my spec. So I built a spec out before the stream and I gave it off to Factory Droid, and Factory Droid started off with the concept of, understanding how to use this type of stuff. We then, middle of the stream, popped over to Claude Code and say, hey, can we configure this for Claude Code? I have some of the commands that I've listed earlier. And if you're just kind of tuning in now, to install this as an MCP in Claude Code, all you have to do is just run Claude MCP add Graphite GT MCP. And then that's what Claude Code is going to be calling to do that as well. You can also get this installed in the other different providers. And I think more on that probably in the next live stream or something like that when I get that going. So, and I might even make a dedicated video on that just to get you guys started on this type of thing. But all of this is basically eventually going to connect to the Graphite, .dev interface. And when you get signed in there, for me, this is kind of like what my little workspace looks like. I don't think I've pushed these PRs to the main branch, but there's already existing stuff. So I've turned on the AI code review for me. And in the AI code review, we're finding more issues now. This is good. Yeah. So if we go to the feed, we'll actually see some of the new issues that are being checked in. So like 9 hours ago, this is spotted by the Graphite agent. And so we talked a little bit earlier about what makes the Graphite agent a little bit different because of the pipelining for the way that it kind of reasons through your code base and understanding the code base in a nice way. And it's not just going to give you these annoying PRs saying like, you should be doing this. It's like, yeah, or like remove the semicolon just because it's, I like this style type of thing. It's really, sometimes I see this a lot, especially online, is that people are like making these little bots to do code review. And it's just a really basic prompt. But like you said, Tomas, there's all these different edge cases where they're actually not very useful to humans because it's like just repeating things that it knows and it's just stating fact. It's like, yeah, the sky is blue. It's like, yeah, bro, like I know, like I don't need to know that right now. It's like, okay, like, is it actually useful to me right now? And so that's just kind of where they weigh in. It's really, I haven't seen this actual bug come across BugBot for me. And BugBot is focused probably on some other different stuff too. And all great products, right? Like I do find that when BugBot does show up something, it's going to be like something pretty critical here. But these are also some important stuff to know. And the way that they break it down is like in these different categories. So they'll have the logic bug, security issue, accidentally committed code, all this type of stuff here, which could be super useful. And this is a part of your feed. And this is currently running if you take a look at the AI reviews. So this is built in. You get access to this for basically 2 months. So unlimited AI reviews, heck yeah, take advantage of that while you can, on top of the other things here. So you have logic bugs that show up. These are actually very useful bugs. So if I wanted to continue on one of these, Tomas, what would I do to go from here to then and start like implementing it?
So if you just want to go ahead and click on the link to the PR right there at the bottom of that. Oh, nope.
Okay,
down.
right here.
Beautiful.
Oh, it opens up a PR.
Yep, and there's your PR. There's your PR, has all the code there. If you wanted to fix it inside of Graphite, you can click add to chat, or you can pull down the PR locally and then start updating it directly from there.
That's it.
Cool, right?
Oh my God. So I don't need to like pop it into Cursor and do all the cursor magic with because it's already using the LLM.
But you can do it right here. Yep. Yeah.
And it'll use whatever model, like, I mean, because you guys already figured it out. And do I get to select the model and stuff, or is it just like a?
Not yet. So right now, everything I think is powered by Sonnet. Like I said, we're really, the model that powers chat is the same model that powers reviewer, which is this mixture of all the models. And so very much we're trying to do some clever stuff there, and that's why you don't have a choice. But if enough people want it, we can rethink that. Yeah.
Whoa. So if I go back and I go to, like, for those who are wondering, this is like the feed. For example, like, let's just say I want to fix this one here. It says like, this is like a code quality style. There's a security issue. This seems pretty important, right? So if I want to go to this one, go to the view and comment number 4, it's going to pull up this specific thing. It says Graphite chat is now available. So explain the code changes, fix the issues in CI, right here, try chat for free.
Yep. So in this case, there's actually even a suggested change there. You can just click apply and it'll automatically fix it. So if the AI can figure out how to fix the lines just right there and then and there, it does it. But if it needs like broader access to the code base to fix it, or maybe to the PR, chat is able to do that for you.
And really to apply it,
like moving as possible. Yeah.
I could just say, which one? The resolve thread or something?
Commit suggestion right here.
Oh, commit suggestion.
Like any suggestion. And that's going to ask what commit you, like commit name, commit description if you want it. and then you click it and you're good to go.
Wow.
Yeah. Very
Important.
fun, right?
Yeah. And I just commit the changes. And so this pushes it right up. And then, so what's going to happen now when the agents are working? Because my agent's still running in the background. It should be able to figure out how to like rebase itself in essence.
GT sync will automatically sync down any changes you applied. Yeah.
Wow.
You can just run it for the agent itself, but maybe do that after your agent finishes.
I see. Oh, okay. Okay. Would the agent figure it out midstream, or is it just going to be something later on after the fact?
It's up to the agent. I don't know if the agent knows that you made it, because the agent probably doesn't know that you updated something while it was working, right?
Oh, I see.
So you might need to tell it like, hey, I updated it. Can you call GT Sync to get the new thing?
Okay, okay. And then okay, that makes sense. So yeah, so then so this is kind of cool. So now that the agent's going through the implementation plan, it's going to touch different pieces of the code. I can just continue working here. And so it just checks it right into main, or does it just make its own branch for this? Oh, it already made a PR for this. So then I'm basically merging this back into main, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
Wow. Okay. And there's threads. This is cool. And then there's like a merge conflict.
Yeah, and it can detect everything.
Fix failing checks. Like, why do I need GitHub anymore? I mean, GitHub to see this stuff, but like, oh, this is going to be really fun. This is amazing. It's really, really cool. Huh. Cool. So this feature here, for those who are wondering, this is the AI review, right?
Yeah. The chat Graphite agent, we call it. Over here on the right. You can just chat with it. You can get it to ask, is there anything else I need to fix in this PR? You'll go ahead and see some of its context.
Whoa, let me fix these issues. Yeah, on click. Nice.
Amazing.
Now let me check the admin moderation dashboard for similar issues. Okay, wow. And so people get like unlimited chats right now if they have the team plan?
Yep, 100%.
Oh, you better be careful. You can't be telling that to my people on the stream.
That's great. Very awesome.
So, okay. So if you're not familiar, like there's some people in the stream, you all know who you are. On my Discord, there's the 3 comma club, and it's not for making $1 billion yet. Maybe they will soon. I think that's the trajectory that they're on. But the 3 comma club is they've used 3 commas worth of tokens in a month in Claude Code.
Incredible.
Yeah. So they're like, yeah. So like there might be, like, not that they're saying there might be limits, but I think these people are like, one person I know is like, not that he's like having 17 terminal windows. It's just that he's just completely on all the time. I think he works like 16 hours, barely gets any sleep. And it's just been, he was like grinding for a month and stuff like that. And there's some people who are super dedicated, and I'm excited for those folks to kind of give it a try. This is all on that platform and stuff like that. So yeah, I think somebody was asking about what's the token limit. I think pretty much YOLO, bro. So yeah, this is cool. And so
we have some abuse limits on it, but run wild. Yeah. If you ever choose, DM me.
Yeah. If you guys also, this is kind of why I like to do these types of partnerships with these types of folks, because the people I like to partner with are very responsible for the stuff that they do. So people are still hitting me up for different issues, for different things that have happened or something like that. I'll get you connected with the team as well. If something falls through the cracks, I just want to make sure things get resolved. I feel like I don't know, for me, I have to really resonate with the stuff that I work with. And you can tell that the level of detail, the care, just even from Tomas here, but the rest of the company is just like this. They're just so good. And I'm really a proud partner / that you guys are sponsoring this stream and able to give people this opportunity to kind of try this out. And so, yeah, any last minute things you kind of want to bring up or talk about with any of the audience and so forth that you feel we should be kind of chatting about? Yeah.
No, this is great. I'm glad that people like it.
Yeah. GitMax is like, this MCP is ridiculous. Yes. Bridge Mind's like, this is pretty badass. Yeah. If you haven't had a chance, definitely go ahead and get installed right now. For those who are watching, we're basically watching, I was just kind of showing a little bit of Graphite, like the UI on the actual website, and you can basically just start working out of here. And for me, especially, I don't have to then go back to the IDE, because that kind of gets exhausting too. For me, in my personal experience, I was just using, Cursor. I have the background agents. And then while I can resolve stuff there's still other parts of the things I still kind of wanted to chat with, but it's very limited. And then, there's this other Git workflow that's happening too. And one of the things that's a little bit exhausting in my personal experience with using and I think they're still, everyone's still developing these features, but where it kind of falls short to me is the fact that I have all these PRs now. Really, I'll have the same, I have 3 PRs open with the same exact prompt. One is running Sonnet, one is running Codex, one is running GPT-5 High. And I'm trying to discern which one's actually going to resolve the issue for me. And by the time I want to move forward with one, and then if there's a security issue, I really feel like Graphite has that really good loop back for me, and these different workflows and buckets. And I'm going to be curious to explore this. So for those who are watching, we're going to live stream tomorrow. I'm going to be playing around with this. I'm going to keep playing around with the UI and keep discovering. And it's been a super pleasure to have you on, Tomas, because you've been able to kind of give me a little bit more confidence in navigating some of this GUI and this command line interface, but also kind of taking a look at some of the features here. You guys are super humble in terms of, all the stuff that you're doing. And I feel like we're just scratching the surface, but they're working with some of the, biggest and brightest companies in Silicon Valley, as well as probably the financial firms and other different places that need these types of workflows, and developers are demanding this. So yeah, there's a trial there. Definitely go ahead and get that started as well. Big shout out to David Johnson as well. Thanks for the session, and Tomas, definitely give it a try. So yeah, loving the reception. Yeah. And there will be time sets for those who are curious. I will generate those, and you can kind of go back there. In the description, I also have the links if you kind of missed out on that, rfer.me/graphite to get that sign up going, and then STACKWITHRAY, the coupon as well. And so that'll be available on YouTube as an video on demand. So you can kind of go ahead and watch that. And then I'll have some clips also kind of nailed down. So yeah, Tomas, wow, we cooked for a couple of hours.
We cooked. It was awesome. Sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks so much for joining the stream, and I'll see everyone tomorrow live.
Amazing. Thanks, Ray.
All right, take it easy.
Cheers.
Bye.